talk about Suarez.
Let's talk about Suarez.
Let's talk about Suarez.
Let's talk about Suarez.
1, 2, 3.
That's a magic number.
1, 2, 3. I say, children, what does it all mean? 1, 2, 3. I would lie.
No more, no less. That's a magic number. No more, no less. That's a magic number.
You first?
I just would like to say, again, two things. I love the Joe Allen drop shoulder. It's going to sound really odd, but the Suarez second goal, where he robbed the guy and nutmegs him, I have to say is probably in my top 10 all-time favourite goals. I sat and pissed myself laughing watching that, but not only from the audacity of it, the robbing the guy, the nutmeg, how casual can you make an outside of the right foot strike look into the opposite corner? And 30 seconds after missing a sitter as well. Although, as James said in his defence, when your head's still ringing from being smacked over the head by Hong Kong Fui's karate chop, you know, you don't really blame him for that.
Suarez misses the easy chances. He scores the ones you wouldn't expect him
Well,
to score.
apparently, you know, Suarez, he's not a finisher. Apparently, he can't finish it there. What were they going to do about it? You think, well, no, he's just been unlucky. He was unlucky last season. He's always scored lots of goals.
He's the first player, I think, in the Premier League to score a hat-trick with all goals coming from outside the area.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
an incredible.
He's also the first player, only the second player in history to score back-to-back hat-tricks at the same fixture. And he's also
Norwich.
and he's also the same. Yeah, but look, I mean, last year, you know, the quality of all 6 goals against Norwich is stunning. All of them.
Also, I've noticed as well, Suarez is, and you know the chance he missed just before the second goal. Suarez is best when he's got half a second to think about.
I said this before.
When he's got too much time, I think he'll think, shall I place it in that corner, and
or shall I go back and beat somebody else?
I was going to say, he's like Emil Heskey.
Emil
Heskey used to score amazing goals, but Emil Heskey 1-on-1 with the keeper. 99.9%.
Emil Heskey 1-on-1 with the keeper is blast it straight into the keeper.
You know how Torres was ice cold 1-on-1 and you back him every single time? Suarez, you back him when it's hard and he's got half a second to do what you do. It's probably going to go in.
Yeah.
But once he can get that 1-on-1 thing sorted, and I think he will definitely get
when
it
he went through on the 1-on-1, to back you up on that, I never thought he was going to score. I really didn't think he was going to score. But I didn't expect him to score when he robbed the guy.
I think he's got better odds than better averages.
What I loved about that as well was you could see the fans were still giving the wanker sign for missing, and in 30 seconds later,
it was beautiful.
It was superb, wasn't it? Absolutely wonderful.
But the third goal was just amazing. And what's great is that he had the confidence to be able to just try that. Because when it's not going for you, he won't try stuff like that. Yeah. But what an amazing finish that was.
I'll say one thing about
his work rate, prodigious work rate for that game was just incredible.
He brings so much more than goals to this Liverpool team. I mean, he's in perpetual motion. But what I say about the penalty thing is, I personally think he's not a player who fakes contact. I think he
waits for the contact.
He exaggerates the contact, and it doesn't help that he's quite theatrical when he goes down. And I think that's what counts against him. He's not a player who goes down, say like Ashley Young, with no contact whatsoever.
I think
there's a difference between going down and exaggerating.
You know what? The problem he's got,
as most women will tell you,
the probably nice one. The problem he's got is that he's a nasty little shit, right? And players like, because he's really good. And he cares a lot, okay? And he's constantly giving you back chat. He's constantly having a go. He's constantly moaning. And then if somebody touches him in the area, he'll go down like that. Because that's what the best players do now.
He's the Uruguayan Craig Bellamy.
If someone touches him, he'll go down. Of course he will. All players do. That's what they're taught to do now. That's what referees have asked for. Make it easier for us. Go down. That's what they've said.
Well, I'd like to also say in his defence as well, there's a great shot from the Match of the Day footage where, having been, as they said on Match of the Day, a cast iron stonewall penalty. By the way, did you see what Mark Halsey gave for John Arne Riisa's penalty at the weekend? Mark Halsey making a career out of giving penalties where they don't exist at this particular moment. But when he was clumped, when Suarez was clumped,
that was the most obvious
and he just sat on the floor, adjusted his shin pads, no protest, and thought, well, there's absolutely no point in me getting out of my tree over this.
Again, it's the old Liverpool PR, isn't it? Half the reason why he doesn't get these penalties is because he's got a reputation for being a nasty little shit who dives. Okay, that you can address that. You can try and sort of. They've sort of,
Tried
Bingham's
to
done
start
a
that
bit
last
of that,
week, yeah.
but it's going to take time. It's going to need something clever to try and turn that on its head.
Well, I don't want to just sort of pour water on that theory as well, but I did a bit of research today, and since the start of the year, you ready for this? If you went into Alan Fluff Freeman mode and did a reverse chart countdown,
But should we just keep clear of old DJs?
Fluffing old DJs is something you never want to get into as well, isn't it? But Tottenham, Manchester City and West Brom all have 2 bookings for simulation. Chelsea have 4 bookings for simulation.
Sorry, when since
This is since the start of the year, calendar year.
Oh, okay.
Right? And top of the league by a long way, Liverpool have 6 bookings for simulation.
That must be at least
And
3 or 4 for Suarez.
4 of those are Suarez.
Yeah.
And tried to look back at 3 of them today, and I would say 3 of them are not simulation as well.
Yeah.
But he's got to be careful. He's got to think about the way he goes down and the way. That's the thing.
The United one, he sort of cocks his head back midair, and it looked really pronounced.
Stupid.
There was contact, but he could, if he'd gone down less theatrically, he probably would have won.
Well, you
the
mean
game.
less? He's got to stop doing the opening scenes from Platoon, basically, isn't he? Really? Yeah.
But it's funny you're saying about the competitive thing. Darren Burgess, who was like our conditioning coach, who just left. He was saying that in training, Suarez was the most fiercely competitive sportsman he's ever met. He said he took part in training one day because they were a man short, and Suarez just clattered him. Or something, something like that. And he just said that he's just so determined and driven. Pepe Reina in his book said, I think it was lost in translation a little bit. He was saying that Suarez has got the touch of the devil or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just that unbelievable will to win on the pitch. And I love seeing that in a player because
There was interesting. The Aguero today said that foreign players get tougher time with referees than British counterparts, and I think that's absolutely true. I really do. I think because it's a perceived wisdom that diving is a continental disease, and the problem is it's an accepted part of the game now.
Stephen Gerrard made an art form of it for about 5 or 6 years.
Michael Owen, for God's sake, that's Michael Owen's game when he was a kid. Yeah. That's what we never moaned about it when England got to go through to the semi-final of the World Cup from diving, and it's that's annoyingly, and I hate it. But annoyingly, that's where we've
also,
come.
I mean, while we're on that subject, looking at Liverpool players, our current rough diamond, Mr. Cole, also was incredibly well known for going to ground with absolutely no contact whatsoever for many, many years.
So, what I normally do on the podcast is say a lot, and I'm a little bit bilious. But what I normally do is go through the games one at a time. And tonight it seems a bit pointless because I've got a massive rant, and I just want to get it over and done with, really. So everybody's talking about Suarez and his diving and stuff, which is irritating beyond extreme because Suarez was brilliant against them, absolutely missed a couple of chances, but those chances he completely made himself. But because Mr. Pulis, Alex Ferguson's best friend, Mr. Pulis, has called for a 3-game ban on Suarez for his diving, which I will not defend that dive. It was fucking shit. It was a terrible dive. Okay. Now all Talk Sport and BBC Radio now they're all talking about whether he should be banned. Not the fact that Robert Huth potentially stamped on him, which we'll get on to in a minute. But is it not about with Suarez? Is it not about the fact that he is basically becoming a pariah and being forced out the game by Alex Ferguson and his cronies? And basically, if he goes down legitimately or doesn't go down and he's found in the box, he doesn't get a penalty. If he goes down ridiculously, he doesn't get a penalty. What more can that man do?
I'll tell you what, before you start spitting fire.
Which I will.
Unfortunately, I'm going to get it in the right ear, but I know it's going to happen. What is really annoying me is not so much the fact that it was a desperately poor attempt at a dive. Do you remember those little fishes you get in a cracker, and they curl up? Yeah. It's like it reminded me of one of them. But what was really annoying me is the poor journalism that's going around this country at the moment. It's lazy. That's what I was going to say. He's an easy target. Why don't they go out and uncover some dead DJs
sexual victims.
sexual foibles or whatever, or something that's really, really slightly more important as journalists than just having a go.
Well, before I go on the rant as well, and
You get a second in
before I go on the rant, I'm going to support you in this, Ian, because again, the conversation I had with James today is it's not just lazy journalism, it's collective lazy journalism, because nobody, as James pointed out earlier today, is brave enough to take an alternative view or the opposing view to anything in this. Absolutely anything. No one is going to stand there and go, wow, he did dribble through 5 players like Lionel Messi, and it would have, you know, one of the greatest bits of skill we've seen in the season from any player. He was stamped on and nearly eviscerated. Stoke did play like a bunch of complete and utter fucking thugs for the period of 90 minutes and made not one attempt to win the game. And Tony Pulis knows full well that you cannot get retrospective action for simulation. So to stand there and blatantly use the fact that fucking hell, one of my players is looking at a 3-match ban here for stamping on someone, I know, I'll stand there and spout off like a cunt and use it as a cover version to cover it up. Bullshit. Sorry. So yes, it's lazy journalism.
For Christ's sake, will you get off the fence and say what you mean?
So, cheese and onion, Ian. I would say,
we digress.
before I let you talk, the problem we have here is of the FA and the Premier League's making, I would suggest. In your day and in my day, I'm presuming you're over 40, Ian. You're a handsome gentleman and you've weathered well. Maybe need to lose a couple of pounds, but this didn't used to happen. People didn't used to dive all over the place. Why are they doing it now?
I think it's a weight issue.
Well, back to the Christmas.
No, but genuinely, why do you think people are diving now?
I really couldn't say it off the top of my head, but I would say it's you're just going to win matches by it.
Yes.
So the line is so fine nowadays. One dive leads to a penalty, and okay.
I tell you what. Just sorry to interject all over you.
Yeah.
Can we do? Oh, you don't have the internet. You can do that, right? Yeah, that's all right. That's fine.
I thought we'd got all Jimmy Savile again there for a second.
I heard on somebody quote today. I think it was a ex-Republic of Ireland defender with bad knees.
Oh yeah, yeah. The cretin.
He said.
What, the one who drinks pure alcohol straight out of the doctor's bench? Yeah. That man, that finely judged physical specimen that couldn't train, that wonderful specimen of humanity that bankrupted himself from gambling debts, who's perfectly judged to pass opinions on other people. McGrath.
Yeah. He said no disrespect to the foreign players, but this is only happening since they've arrived. No disrespect whatsoever, but it's their fault.
But the FA, it didn't used to happen, okay, in the 70s and the 80s when we all started watching football.
Francis Lee!
There were diving, but
Kevin Keegan!
There wasn't as much diving, okay, and it wasn't such an outrage, okay, but now the FA and the Premier League, from their promotion of wonderful, skillful football, have taken the art of tackling out of the game. Okay, what they've done, they've backed themselves into a corner. So what they've done now is got themselves into a situation where there is any contact. The word contact comes out all the time. Right. In the
used to be intense.
Right. In the 70s and the 80s, if there was contact in the penalty area, it was like contact anywhere else. You just carried on playing football. Now, if there was contact, anybody breathes out heavily, you go to the floor. The problem with Luis Suarez, he's a shit diver.
Yes,
it's terrible. He needs to study some footage of Man United's divers.
Tom Daly.
Yeah, Tom Daly's a quality diver. Yeah. Or Michael Owen. Michael Owen in the World Cup, he got us through to World Cup semi-final by diving.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good thing, but that's where we are now. We're now in a situation where referees and the refereeing authority and who brief all the Premier League teams, they are suggesting to players that to make it easier for the referees that they should go down. I have a quote from I have a quote on the other bit of paper and I can't find it. Oh yes. So last year, just after the New Year's games, Howard Webb. I don't know whether you're familiar with Howard Webb. Yes.
I'm familiar with his work.
Yes. He said basically to one of Blackpool's defenders, Ian Evatt, who was having a particularly good season last year. What's happened to him? Basically, that Blackpool were too honest, and what they needed to do was to go down, because actually it makes the referee's job easier. That is Howard Webb. He refereed in the World Cup final. Howard Webb is the best referee we have in this country, supposedly. He is openly saying to attackers to go down in the area.
Well, he's the best referee we have in this country by the point of fact that when he makes a bad decision, he doesn't find himself demoted to the championship.
Yes.
Or he doesn't find himself refereeing a women's league or the dog and duck on Sunday.
And as we learned last week, 18% of the games that he...
18% of his total penalties.
Of his total penalties have been awarded to Manchester United. That which is quite astonishing, isn't it? That's an astonishing statistic. You think about how many teams there are in the Premier League.
But then, you've got also...
18% have been given to Manchester United.
You've got that other statistic, a rather strange statistic, that because he doesn't actually criticise the team that play at Old Trafford, that he seems to go back, and you get other people like Chris Foy, who dared to give a penalty against Manchester United, haven't refereed there for the next 34 fixtures, whereas Howard's refereed 14 times at Old Trafford during those 34 fixtures.
How on earth could that happen?
Okay, should we then move on from here now, and should we say, so between us, right? I don't know how you solve this problem. Now we're now in a cul-de-sac of contact. Okay, where if anybody gets contact, they go down well, like Welbeck. He's genius at Welbeck.
Ashley Young's superb.
Ashley Young. No, Ashley Young's been obvious because we're talking about Ashley Young. So Ashley Young isn't that great. He did really bad. Bale was good. He's now getting too histrionic about the way he goes down. There are lots of players who get. Michael Owen was a genius.
We're almost getting onto this failing leg.
Yeah, well, with Bale, you see, a lot of people are saying with Bale is that he copies Suarez, but there's you know what they say, monkey see, monkey do. Unfortunately, so.
Oh, racist.
No, chimpers.
So how do you choose an union? How do you change that? What do we do?
I think firstly we should put a compilation DVD together, send it to Suarez, okay?
Of the other players.
Yeah,
no, I think you know what that's modern management. That's what that on Talk Sport. I think. Oh no, it was actually Match of the Day that they said that Gary Lineker, when he went to Barcelona, that he was told by the Barcelona management at the time. Was it Venables? I don't know.
No, it was Venables and then Cruyff.
That you should go down. Yeah, that's what you should go down, and that's essentially what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do
every manager in the land throughout history has said go down.
I've got to. There are a couple of things that we can, jokingly aside, we can come across as the moral indignant Liverpool with a conspiracy against us. I want to make a point. I was having a conversation on the Facebook page with Nick Christie. Hi, Nick. And he made some quite valid points, and he was making some points. The fact that Suarez is making the club look bad, and he got people on side with the wonderful hat trick against Norwich, and then we have the ridiculous dive. Well, I don't think Suarez is an out and out diver. I think Suarez, because he's so bad at it.
He just wants to win.
Yeah, he's so bad at it. So, unlike players, and I really strongly believe this, unlike players who look for, Ian mentioned the famous trailing leg, or who run into another player, a la John Alarisa, and throw themselves to the floor, Suarez waits until someone's actually made contact with him, and then as an afterthought thinks, I'm going over here, and that's why it looks so bad.
I thought it was telling the way it happened. If you look back at the footage now, he basically gets contact and goes down, and then he realises actually I'm not going to get anything there. So then he just throws himself like hilarious, like a Keystone Cop, and throws himself down again. And
like a petulant child, wasn't he?
Well,
Should
but
have more of it.
Yeah, he should have. He should have. Got his razor blade out. And shit. But
Is that good enough for you, you bastards?
but like that
From the crossbar.
but if I'm Suarez, I'm confused now. What I get a penalty for? I don't get because I mean literally he was the other week he
Foot on
was
the chest.
manhandled to the ground and didn't get a penalty.
Well, I do want to finish the point I was just making as well. Is we've now joined, a lot of the Liverpool fans have joined the moral outrage. We've bought into the myth of Suarez is a diver, Suarez is a diver. Good luck to him being a diver. Everybody does it. Doesn't make it right. 2, 12, 15, 30, how many of the Premiership forwards they are. They all do it, including 6'4" beasts who play in midfield for Stoke, who are, when they are brushed by Raheem Sterling, fling themselves to the floor like they've been clubbed round the head, right? There's that issue of it. But also, good luck to Suarez, because everybody else does it. I'm not condoning it. If he in my honest opinion, if he simulates, book him, right? That's not as a Liverpool fan speaking, that's as someone who wants the game, right? Watches the game. If he's fouled, just give him what he's due.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. If you find him guilty of simulation, even retrospectively, point it out and book him, because of all the times he's been booked for simulation, he's been guilty once of pretty much clear simulation. That was very early on in his Liverpool career. I think he got pulled up for it, and he's been warned a couple of times but not booked. Most of those instances, a la Drogba, a la everybody else who comes to this country, this is what I do. This is what I do in Holland. This is what they do in international football. This is what is the accepted norm. And then you acclimatise. And it's when you realise that your home fans, which is exactly what happened to Didier Drogba, will not stand for it, that's when you start to change your game. And to back up what you said, I don't recall Liverpool fans getting morally outraged when Steven Gerrard and Michael Owen used to hold themselves to the floor on a regular basis.
Gerrard still does it.
Gerrard is one of the worst divers we have.
No, he's one of the best divers.
Divers we have, yeah. Daniel Agger in every game will run for 40 yards until he's back to the opposition team off to the back of their box and run into one of their fullbacks.
Yeah. But that's what the point I was making is that do we have to go back to the word intent rather than the word contact? Because it's alluded, like I said, the FA and the Premier League have backed themselves into a corner now because they can't, like somebody as quick as Raheem Sterling, he will go into a box. In theory, he'd go to the box every time he goes into the box. Any time anyone does him, he could go down. Yeah. Because he's going at such pace, and he could get. The
slightest touch, and you'll go.
Which he could do that.
Balance.
That's what Michael Owen did that for about 2 seasons. He scored a lot of goals, but also he just went down. He just went down a lot. He went down a lot. In the World Cup final, he went down. He deliberately cheated to get, and we all went, "Whoa, yeah, come on, that's a penalty." Yeah. It wasn't a penalty. He just looked for it. He looked for it, and it's.
And there's a difference because Owens was a cynical way of manipulating an advantage out of the situation, and I truly believe that Suarez does it because he's been told to, and he does it because there's contact, and he at least waits for the contact, and his speed of thought with everything else he does is wonderful. His speed of thought when it comes to someone clipping him is incredibly slow.
I don't think he's doing it because he's been told to do it, because I think he's doing it because it's on the spur of that split second, and that's why.
That's
why he's not very good at it.
It's the will to win of you bastard! You took my foot away, isn't it?
His sole purpose.
Being fucked over, basically.
I'm going into that box. I'm going to score.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. I'm off balance now. I'll get what I can out of this situation.
I think you're right. I think he feels now that he's fucked over completely. So he will do it. Well, he would have done anything to win anyway. But I genuinely don't think he understands what the rules are anymore.
I don't think anybody had. I think, Ian, you might have hit a point on there. Because my point, as I was saying earlier, is if he simulates, book him. If he doesn't simulate, give him what he's due. He knows full well he's not getting stuff he's fully entitled to.
But isn't it down to Brendan Rodgers he may or may not have done this already? You sit him down, you show him the video or whatever, and you say, right, that, good. That, bad.
Well, that good dive,
Yeah.
that bad dive.
Yeah, whatever.
No,
Yeah.
but genuinely, that's what.
Or tell me honestly,
But let's
young
be
Lewis, were you clipped there or were you
Yeah,
not?
but
I'm your manager. I'm on your side.
Let's be honest
You
though,
know?
if you've watched, and I'm not making mitigating circumstances for it because I actually don't want to see it, but it happens, right? Have you watched South American football?
Oh, yes.
A trip, a double salco, a forward roll and 57 spins across the pitch is standard behaviour.
Yeah.
He's really mellow by a South
But
American football standards.
It doesn't have to be like that. Our football wasn't like that in the 70s, was it?
Acting classes.
Acting classes, that's what we need to do.
Acting classes. Come on.
There's a gig for you there, Ian.
Yeah.
There's a gig for you there,
Mike
mate.
is showing out the dive
Yeah.
properly.
Right, so
Okay.
let's.
Are we staying on Stoke because my blood pressure's not going down?
No, let's do Udinese. Let's go back to school. But my fundamental problem with it all is that we never used to have these moral dilemmas in the 70s and 80s because
It was a man's game.
Well, but also the football authorities didn't get involved so much with the rules of the game and about simulation and about intent and all that kind of stuff. They just went, well, that's the way it is. And
In the pub
you
before
get
the
things
game,
against-
There's been more rule changes in the last 10 years than there has been in
And
the
it-
whole of the
In the
previous
pub
century.
before the
Yeah.
podcast, when we weren't leaving it in the
Yeah.
gym, we said that players that wouldn't survive in the modern game, such as, well, Suarez was skillful, but such as McMahon and Peter
Yeah.
Reid, whose physical
Smith.
side made up more from the
Yeah.
side of it. But those two players would kick the living shit out of each other, shake each other's hand, and buy each other a pint afterwards. That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. And it's a
That
shame, I
mutual
think.
respect on the pitch, the field, the battle lines have been drawn afterwards.
Yeah.
Shake them. That definitely
It's
doesn't
completely
happen
different.
anymore.
You know,
Yeah, but
before
you
we
know-
signed Souness, Liverpool played Middlesbrough, and Souness played with Middlesbrough, and he bossed it and he kicked the shit out of our midfield.
Yeah.
So what did we do? We didn't try
Balls
and
it.
get him banned for 3 games. We'll have him.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen now.
Well, you know what? The fundamentally, I don't know what the rules are. I really don't
Yeah,
anymore.
but don't you get the feeling nobody knows what the rules
Nobody
are?
knows what the
It's
rules
what makes
are.
you perfect for this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
The refs don't.
Moving on.
Right?
The players are now wearing compression suits, aren't they?
Are
With
they?
their kits, yeah, underneath the
Oh,
kit.
yeah, okay.
So
yeah.
diving should come naturally.
Yeah, that's very
Oh, he's been working on that
Come
one.
on, everybody. Let's have a party. So the goal, which was quite clearly a goal.
Yeah.
His teeth were offside.
His teeth were offside.
Teethist.
That's the dental work we need to do as a club. Maurice has come out and said, yeah, it was a goal, absolutely a goal. And what's brilliant about Maurice, again, you got the hats off to him. He went, yeah, but she's never been a free kick in the first place. Gerard, yeah, but if my aunt was my uncle, then
I mean,
the thing
that's
is, if the game had been cancelled in the first place, that would never have happened.
If
either.
Alex Ferguson
And if somebody hadn't won the toss, it would have gone.
I do love the fact
If
that
monkeys hadn't bred with other monkeys, then we would never be here.
You'd never have got Wayne Rooney. Anyway,
But it's
do you know-
insane.
Sorry, I did a really bad image going through my head. The worst part about the whole of the goal being cancelled, not the fact that it's so clearly onside, it's the 4.8 seconds, which has been timed today. 4.8 seconds it takes for the flag to go up. Now that almost, in a lovely conspiracist theorist world, is someone in the earpiece saying, put your flag up.
Flag up.
Put your flag up. Put your flag up.
Well, I mean, if you look at the replay from the angle where you can see the linesman, you see the ball go past Tim Howe and back of the net. Suarez wheels off.
Suarez is near the halfway line.
And then you
before
see
the flag goes up.
Leon Osman sort of desperately put his hand up.
Yeah, well, that's what you
in
do.
more in sort of hope
Anyway,
than
yeah,
expectation, and then like a second later, that's when I see.
So we there's that, and there's the United stuff. There's the United goal was clearly offside.
Arsenal goal.
The Torres of the Arsenal goal, and they said, "I'm sorry." Why? And where everybody's going, oh, well, you know, the thing is that you've got to feel sorry for the referees. It's so fast, the modern game. It's really, really fast, the modern game. Fine, yeah, it's really fast. They've got a hard job to do, and don't do it, and don't get paid for it if you don't want to do it. But it's a really difficult game. It's different than it was before, and, you know, there's always been these things, but, you know, it's much faster than the modern game. They're athletes, they're really quick, and it's a busy game, yada, yada, yada. Well, fuck off then. We all watched it in 2 seconds later and knew it was onside.
We all knew in real time it was onside, same as
so,
everybody else.
I don't think a player kicks a ball any quicker.
Right.
But from A to B.
But anyway,
you know what I mean?
Ian,
That ball isn't travelling any
Yeah,
faster.
but you've got,
Ian,
you want a moment, you want your last moment of the show. It's probably that 170 grand a year you get paid for being a referee that makes you
maybe that might have special powers of eyes. I don't think so, though. So we all watched it on Sky Sports. I didn't. I watched it on some fucking dodgy internet feed. Was it from Abu Dhabi?
You wouldn't recommend that to people, though,
I
would
wouldn't, because it was like, because when Suarez scored the third goal, he was celebrating and then he stopped celebrating, and I didn't know why, because I hadn't even seen the game, seen the goal, and it went. It was, but I was in a pub. I'm happy to do that at home, but not in the pub. So I can't understand why we have, in the one hand, everybody's saying, oh, you've got to feel sorry for the referees, it's a really fast game, and on the other hand, you go, oh, we can't have video referees, we can't have technology in it, because it doesn't make it fair. It's not fair, because you can't play it on the park in the same way. Yes, you can. Of course, you can fucking do it on the park. It's insane.
That argument's out the window.
It's an insanity. It's a total insanity.
No one paid me
You
70 grand.
haven't got someone over like Posh James over there watching the podcast and going, actually, that's goal. That's a goal. It takes a millisecond, and it's an insanity. And
You have a fourth official. Give the fourth official a monitor.
Yeah.
There's a live feed from every game.
He just needs to watch Sky Sports, for fuck's sake.
But the point is as well, though, the rewards or the lack of rewards, let's call it the stakes. In the Premier League, for instance, when you start multiplying it out into Europe the following year, are so high.
Eto
there
gets
is
a £250,000 per week.
I've got to go
Imagine if that was taken away from you.
I've got to go and change my underwear now. I'm sorry, that's one too many.
reason not to have
It's insane.
technology.
It's insane.
I agree.
I tell you what, though,
We've got it.
Look at us, we're living in the future.
Excuse me.
2 cameras.
You do know why. What a great cut shot that was. You do know why it won't ever be allowed, don't you?
Why?
Because Sir Alex won't allow it.
Well, he'll be dead soon.
He'll be gone soon.
He'll be dead soon.
Have you seen one of the great parts about, because he spent that time away not being interviewed after the game, you know, on those protests that only he's allowed to get away with.
I remember.
Have you seen the
Wasn't it better when he
size
didn't
of
talk?
his nose since he's come back? The purple proboscis is getting better and better and better. It's just amazing. He looks like a 1940s Hollywood star nowadays.
Well, you know, surely there must be a retirement. You're not allowed to say that sort of stuff because you're a journalist now. You know, you've got to be. Is there a pressure put on you? You can't probably answer this question. Is there pressure put on you to you know, be kindly upon the old gentleman?
I have a lot of respect for him.
He's a fantastic manager.
But you know, I try not to sort of rage off about him.
Yeah.
I try and keep it a
Just
little bit more
you
impartial.
want to be able to get in there and interview him at some point.
Yeah, see what the
Because
pressure is
you've
like
got
at
no
Old
chance of
Trafford.
life,
Yeah.
But what was it like?
Our goose is cooked.
Like
Our moose is
with
cooked as well.
with the officials. With the officials, I think referees, they have it hard because they've not got any job. But linesmen, they've got you know, all they have to do is just see down the line, see whether someone's. They've got the easiest job of all the.
Well, the worst part that I got from the whole disallowed goal thing was the wonderful pundits going,
fact that it was
well,
disallowed.
he's going, well, he's probably giving it for the foul on this stand that wasn't a foul. And also, no, you fucking moron pundit, because that's not their decision to call the foul. Only the referee can give that foul, so get off. You're not allowed to be there in the first place.
As well, the signal for a foul anyway is a hello.
Yeah.
you wave
It's
it,
a hello
don't you?
there, isn't it, rather than a semaphore.
Yeah.
The other classic, of course,
So he
is
didn't- he just-
I did say I'd never admit this, but those of you, because they do watch those illegal feeds that you spoke about on the. Some of our listeners do watch those.
Yeah,
illegal
well,
feeds.
I tell you, well, hopefully we're still putting up those things.
Yeah,
to stop people.
Stop people.
Now, if you're going to fall into that trap, what you need to do, and I think the technology exists, is if you take what the URL we have, and then you put that up into your URL thing, and then you put a do not go to this website thing. I think that exists somewhere.
Yeah,
Do you?
Well, a lot of people somehow seem to manage to watch Sky in
Yeah.
Canada, Paul Gill.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and they seem to have the full Sky Sports bit.
Yeah.
And we were having a nice little chat today via Facebook, and I have to admit, a burgeoning love for Gary Neville.
Should we wrap it up there? Turn this off.
The man speaks so much sense, and the fact that he's more than prepared to come out and criticise his ex-boss.
Him and Souness are Punch's equivalent of Simon Garfunkel.
Yeah.
They are.
Hello, Souness, my old friend.
Souness, I would always have respect for because he was a god, best midfield player I think ever played for Liverpool. Whoa! I said
Interesting
that.
little factoid about
Who?
Gerard.
Souness.
No.
Someone I know said to
Better than
Souness, I really like you on Sky, you don't hold back on what you say. Souness replies, I'm the only one who goes on here who's not looking for a job in management. So I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Souness
You just like me have
Gerrard.
anybody who has the chutzpah to walk into the middle of a Turkish pitch and put down the opposition flag is
Souness better than Gerrard? Gerrard better than Souness?
Souness better than Gerrard.
No.
You wouldn't know because you didn't know. Do you remember him? How old were you when Souness was playing?
I wasn't born.
I mean, we've been discussing Luis Suarez at length in our office today. You said it quite rightly a couple of podcasts ago that he is an amazing player for more than one reason. Robin Van Persie scores a shitload of goals, but how many goals does Robin Van Persie create on his own?
Virtually none.
Right?
No.
If Suarez was a half decent finisher, he'd be as valuable as Lionel Messi.
If I was saying something the other day, if Suarez could ally like his unbelievable ability to get the ball from A to B in tight areas of the pitch with finishing ability, he would be in the 10.
Or you're saying
he's
he was a
anyway,
half decent finisher. If Suarez was not only a half decent finisher, was able to just bring himself at the point if he's not going to shoot to lay it off.
Yeah.
One or the other.
You can't have a greedy. I can't have a greedy finisher who's then going to be a number 10.
No, but if he's going to finish it off,
Yeah, but you're quite right. He doesn't finish it off.
Either way,
If you go back to
the
the
one thing or the other,
You go back
very
to-
often he doesn't do
But
either.
Ian,
was
but
bought
Ian,
to play with the finisher.
You've got to pass it to someone you think is going to score the goal more
Yes.
well than you are.
Yeah.
I don't think in that team he has got anybody.
No, in
who's
that front
gonna-
three doesn't.
Well, who does he trust to do it?
Well, look at Sterling. Look what happened when
Himself.
Sterling was 1-on-1 in goal.
Shelby in anti-game,
Yeah.
skied it
Oh,
in
do
the
you know
bar.
what? I thought Suarez was. He berated.
I thought he was
Sterling.
absolutely
Yeah.
right.
I don't think
No.
so.
Yeah.
I don't think
Right.
so. I think that's.
In that instance, I thought he was absolutely right.
I think.
I think Sterling should have gone for goal then.
Does
and you don't-
Sterling not realise he should have scored? What a stupid thing to do.
Completely agree.
Anyway.
Why didn't you score? Why didn't you add a pass? Why didn't you score? Did you not
You know
realise?
what? You know what?
Duh, sorry,
That's partly
didn't
to do with the
realise.
fact that all he cares about is winning.
Yes,
and
I
he is.
agree.
That's
Yeah.
why he's
Yeah,
such a
yeah.
brilliant
Yeah.
footballer.
And that's why, and that gives him the mental strength to do what he does.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Newcastle
So
first.
the Newcastle game.
Everybody loves Suarez. He's the greatest player since. He's like Rodgers says he's sort of like Messi. No, yeah, but the difference with Messi
grounds.
is playing in a fucking brilliant team around. He's playing with a fucking 17-year-old up front. You know.
I think if you put the biggest compliment I'll pay Luis Suarez is I think if you put him in Barcelona's side, he probably would be one of the top.
Yeah, of
three
course he
players.
is.
He's
He'll
amazing.
walk into any team, you know.
He's amazing.
But the problem is with the Liverpool at the moment is he's trying to create the chance and to finish off himself. So he's winning the ball, he's dribbling down the wing, and then he's crossing for himself. And there's only
He's like the good kid at school.
yeah,
isn't
there's only so many times he can get in the box to receive his own
There
cross.
funny you should say that because there was a lot of people coating Baldy when he came on, but there was a lot of the reasons to praise Shelvey in that game. And his finishing obviously wasn't one of them.
Yeah, but you know, he was getting in the space.
When Shelvey comes on,
Yeah.
everybody else's midfield retreats because we actually have another player going in the box. That's fairly obvious. And I think the most glaring miss, the header was poorly placed that he had in that chance, but the glaring miss of when Suarez squared it to him, I think really came about because he thought, what the fuck is passed to me?
Exactly. That's exactly
He's
exactly
never
what I
going to
thought.
fucking pass in a million
By that
years.
point in the game, nobody had seen Suarez get in the penalty area and lay the ball off.
Is your argument then that we shouldn't be looking for a finisher? What we should be looking for is someone to play behind Suarez to feed Suarez.
Number 10 by any chance.
Yeah, well, no, not necessarily even a number 10. I just either think we need another goal scorer.
But don't you think? I mean,
do you know what we need? We need. But a type of footballer, someone who's actually an intelligent footballer who can score. So you're looking for someone like A. Sheringham, for example. You're looking for someone. I can now understand why, based on last season, he went after Clint Dempsey.
Yeah, okay.
Because Dempsey would have dropped to
what's,
join the midfield. And
That's what I was going to say. Why?
The Dutch fella that was at Spurs. He's been let go
Oh,
from
Van der
Spurs.
Vaart.
Van der Vaart. That's the type of player you're looking for.
What I don't get though is like talking about Newcastle not coming to play, and like a lot of teams are not. And he reverted to it at Everton, didn't he? With the 3 at the back and 5 in midfield and a proper 2 up front.
Proper 2 up front.
Now, if teams aren't going to go and attack us, and we've got 5
We've got
across
to
the
do
middle,
that quicker.
I think we should just play like at home for certain. He clearly likes it. Why
I've
don't
got
he
no
play
problem
3?
with that. I've got no problem with it at all.
Because basically fullbacks are essentially.
And let's be honest.
It's the Roy Evans thing.
If you go for work rate as well, I forget Steve, you have criticised enough in this, right? I think Sterling and Suarez are the only 2 people that will track back out of their own half to go. I loved certain things about Suarez. I mean, Sterling's the impetuosity of youth. If he gives the ball away, he will run 70 yards to get it back. Yeah. But Suarez does exactly the same thing. If Suarez does lose the ball, 1 out of 4 times he'll throw his hands in the air and sulk. Yeah. But his first natural reaction is to run like a bastard to go and get it back again.
I think he scared the Newcastle defence enough because they couldn't set on the ball.
That's Robbie Fowler of old, isn't it? That's the tracking of old.
So, I mean, I don't know what the answer to this is. I don't know whether you're right or wrong, or whether
you don't know. You're chairing this. Come on, Ian.
Shut up. I don't know whether. I think
want an answer.
I think that's a good point to that. Is that whether we need another player like a Suarez. Yeah, right. That's messy. A beautiful footballer playmaker, or whether we just need a fucking goal scorer.
Yeah, but the problem is, so we get a goal scorer. You can answer that question yourself. John Joe Shelvey in the box, unmarked. Stuart and I both feel this. He didn't believe in a million He thought he was a decoy run.
Yeah.
Shelvey thought, I'm in here, I'll draw the 2 centre halves off, and Louis will get a shot away. Yeah, but the reason he lashed out at it, he was probably turning, thinking, "Oh, the shot's off now. I better get back in position."
Yeah, but if he plays with a player,
a goal scorer is not going to be given the ball.
Well, I disagree. I think if he knows he's got a player that he can trust to put the ball in the net, he'll pass it to him. I'm sure he will.
I have seen absolutely in all of his time with Liverpool, I can't think of more than 3 examples.
When he was at Ajax, did he not?
No, but he played wide.
But this is where the last time I was on, when you talked about the potential for Torres returning because the money owed and them getting Falcao. I mean, that's the thing we never saw, did we? We bought Suarez when we thought we had to play wide to play with Torres.
He came from playing
that's the
wide
we've never seen.
Right? And he doesn't play wide.
And we know that when Torres plays well, which we've seen him in red do, he's unplayable when
you're looking at Torres, Gerrard, and Suarez as your front 3.
Would be fantastic.
Oh!
Actually, what's the way?
The old Torres.
Hang on. Let's have a think about that for a second.
Yeah. Anyway, can we just also?
While
you're there, can you also just think about Downing bottling out of challenges?
It'll never happen.
Oh, fucking hell! How annoying!
The fourth wall's going to be broken.
Go on.
I think you're wrong, Moose, because when we had Bellamy and Maxi, he passed to them and Coit because he respected them.
Don't agree.
That's another good answer.
Can we hear you? We can hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it made sense.
You're saying Coit. Not kite. You're saying kite. Why are you saying?
I think
kite?
it's a South African way of insulting someone.
He grew up
isn't
in
it?
Utrecht. That's Amsterdam you're doing. Utrecht, that's the Utrecht
Ah,
accent.
so yeah.
Anyway, what else are we going to talk about?
Maybe 2 towns or no.
Did you see the not an actual finisher? Luis Suarez scored under the goal. Although he did blatantly push.
Who said?
No, I'm not having that at all.
No.
Steve,
2 words.
we did this earlier.
Yeah.
But you know,
I just don't think it's a blame. The man's got him like that.
Yeah,
for
well,
starting,
it was
so
blatantly
it's just one of those
pulled.
things as a forward.
He
You
pushed
use it to
and
get a
sometimes
bit
you
of momentum.
sometimes you get away with it. Sometimes
What did
Wait, 2 words for you, Mr. Coyle.
Yeah.
Kenneth Dalglish.
No, I've got no problem with it. I'm saying on another day he wouldn't get away with
Do
it.
you know, there's a theme.
And he didn't think he got away with it.
That's why we all waited for the goal to be disallowed.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody celebrated, and James made a thing about it on the Facebook. But it's the ground stopped. Both Liverpool and Chelsea fans went flag.
Yeah.
No flag.
But I didn't think. I wondered if it was a goal, but I thought offside, not foul.
No, I thought offside totally.
Yeah,
then
I
we went
wanted
flag for
offside.
offside.
But
I
it
totally
wasn't,
thought
and
it
it
Wasn't
wasn't
weird. It's
offside.
a weird moment because he goes, whoa. What the fuck is that?
And it
Yeah, but
wasn't
I also
really
think at that
weird,
point
though.
Liverpool was so entrenched in position that
I don't know.
they just
I don't
didn't
know.
go flooding
there
forwards.
it could be read that there's some sort of issue with Suarez. I don't think it is an issue with Suarez
it's
at all.
It was very weird.
Because he scores.
Was very
any-
strange.
Because he scores any
Very,
goal.
very
People, any other goal this season, which he scored a fucking lot of them. Not a natural goal scorer. People have poured themselves all over
What
him.
you mean, the man that scored more away goals than any other player in the Premiership? He's not a natural finisher.
And he's also
He's
joint
not a
top
finisher.
scorer with Van Persie in the Premiership.
And then he.
It was a very weird
Yeah,
movement.
but
It
that-
was
Let
very
me
strange.
talk, talking about goal
finisher.
scoring as well. Got a little statistic here I read today. Suarez has scored 32 goals in 68 games for Liverpool. Torres has scored 19 in 84.
Chelsea.
Torres, don't you mean Torres hasn't scored since 1984?
Isn't that amazing though? We'd be
That's
interested to know what
astonishing,
Suarez-
isn't it?
I mean, you know, it'd be in the
Suarez took way because I can't believe I'm going on
When
matrix.
Suarez-
Suarez took 2,000 minutes last season
Yeah.
to reach 8 goals and has taken 900 minutes to reach 8 goals this season. In a team that now you go back to, and people say we don't look like we're making as many chances as we did under Dalglish,
Funny enough,
which we're not.
he was saying
I
that
don't
we
know.
were to be. I've got it written down here. According to Sky, we'd be bottom of the league without Suarez.
Yeah,
well,
listen
let's
to
have
this,
a look
right?
at this. Hold on a minute. Let's have a look at it.
I've got something.
Any
on that.
team that doesn't have their centre forward and plays with 10 men, they're kind of.
Why was
Yeah,
Man U
if,
doing Van
right,
Persie
this
at
this
moment?
bloody word, right?
Yeah.
If Suarez hadn't scored, we'd be bottom of the league. Okay, so as a thespian, I have a little something for you.
wow.
It's a little something, okay? There's this media thing, and if by Rudyard Kipling, and I haven't learnt it because I only just thought of it before. So, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If Luis Suarez wasn't scoring goals, Liverpool would be bottom of the league. But he is, so they're not. So, mainstream media, shut the fuck up. I thank you.
That was a soliloquy and a half.
It's one of Kipling's later works, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
Luis Suarez, not a natural finisher level. I don't think he's not a clinical finisher. He might be. He's a forward player, but he's not a clinical finisher. He misses a lot of chances, but he's still scoring goals.
He creates the chances for himself.
But also, does he create as many chances for himself if he plays from one of the wide positions? So if you're buying a Huntelaar, it's very interesting to see what happens because they say we should have a striker, someone to play up there with him. I think you get the best out of him by him just saying, you be Luis Suarez and do what you want.
Well,
and
this is-
actually,
this
what
is-
you need
Don't you
is
think
a
what we-
player
this is
from
what
the
I
wide
think.
position
Don't you
to
think
nick
what we
like
should
goals.
Torres,
play
if
is
I'm saying
two
Torres,
behind
or somebody
Suarez
like him.
to support him? Not necessarily, if we're going to play 4-3-3, in my opinion, I think we should play 4-3-2-1, right? Because I totally agree. Just go out and be Luis Suarez. Okay, just go out and be Luis Suarez. Because if you're going to go here, at the moment, he'll run all the way out to the right-hand side or the left-hand side to pick the ball up. But the problem we've got is no one goes in the box for two reasons. One, it leaves the positions exposed because we're playing pretty much a 4-3-3. And the second thing is, No one thinks the reason Gerrard doesn't get in the box is because I'm not going to run 60 yards to get in the fucking box for Louis not to pass me the ball.
How many times do we see Suarez get the ball and he'll end up from an impossible angle on the byline going for goal because there's no one to give it to. That's why I think if we had a player, whoever that may be, a natural poacher, goal scorer, whatever, but somebody who is used to playing in the middle,
to get in the box,
in the box, on the 6-yard area, so that to make that position, I think Suarez would have the choice or would be able to.
I will support that argument by the simple fact that whenever Shelvey's made the box, go back to Newcastle. I mean, we joked about it on the last podcast. Shelvey didn't score for 2 reasons. One, he'd slightly turned away from Suarez. And for the second reason is the one together is he did not fucking expect him to pass the ball to him.
But an Alan Clark, a Defoe, a Torres or whatever will be expecting the ball to come to him because that's what they do.
But there's a thing
whoever it may be.
When you're playing, maybe it helps when Lucas is back, but with football now, fullbacks being so important, getting other and overlapping, you've got a responsibility. If you play in one of the wide positions, you've got a responsibility to help your fullback. I don't want Luis Suarez back there. I want him just doing what he wants.
Which is why if you play 4-3-2-1, you've got 2 people behind. You've got 2 people. Your midfield 3 becomes a more static, or as what Rodgers has always talked about, the 2 and the 1. So you have, depending on who you're playing. So presumably category A, category B teams. If you're playing, and I don't mean this disrespectfully because West Brom took us to the cleaners, but if you're playing a Wigan, it's a 1-sitter and another 2 going forward to join you, change your formation slightly. If you're playing a Chelsea or a Man United, it's a 2-sitter and a 1 going forward. Right? We've got those positions covered. We don't have the holder. We keep going back to it. We don't have Lucas. Okay, we may never have Lucas again. Yeah. So we have the areas of problems that we have are a defensive midfielder. And we do have a hole for a defensive midfielder, regardless of whether Lucas comes back or not. A left back and 2 strikers at the moment. Because I know Wisdom's been fantastic at right back, and he has been, I think, one of the finds of the season. And we've been told by very, very good journalistic sources that the reason Johnson's played at left back is because he actually defends more than when he's on the left hand side.
That's obvious.
So do I.
I don't think that's fair to say that he defends more. I think he's one of our
he's more aware of his defensive duties when he's not played on the right side.
When you look at our team, you go, who's going to nick a goal here?
Yeah, Glenn Johnson. I fancied Johnson to pop up and get a winner for some reason yesterday quite a lot. So if you then got that formation playing, and I too totally agree with you. Suarez loses the ball, he'll chase 60 yards to get it back. I actually feel like people should say to him, just stop fucking running and start there, please. Right, let us chase it down because he sees it as a matter of personal pride. Sterling plays up front with Suarez, and Sterling runs his legs off because he's young. He's not jaded enough to think if I go in the box, he's not going to pass it to me. Suarez has got far more confidence in his own ability, obviously, and he knows in his head that Sterling's the decoy runner. Sterling never gets the ball. Okay. But if we play 2 behind him, as Ian just said, then we stand a chance. 2 people whose natural instincts are to get in the box.
Okay, let me tidy these up, and then you can give me who you think will buy.
On the subject, on that subject, what I don't like. We've already gone through. Okay, what I don't like as another thing. Okay, Bale, right? So he gets booked for diving, which was a shit dive, as we all agreed.
Where's
the fucking headlines? Should be front page news. If it was Suarez, it would be everywhere. But because Bale plays for a London team, so I'm getting all northern now. Plays for a London team, fashionable team, and everybody thinks he's wonderful. And because he doesn't do any of the other stuff, it's not all out in the papers, that really pisses me off.
I'm pissed off as well, but you've summed it up. That's exactly why. Firstly, he's British. Suarez is Uruguayan.
You're right. Yeah.
Bale doesn't have.
No, Bale's not British. He's Welsh.
That's British. Bale doesn't have. Bale doesn't have the handball on the line. He doesn't have the biting the opponent. He doesn't have the racially abusing Patrice Evra.
But he can bring that. He can bring that to his.
That's why he's a terrible diver. I'd almost argue he's actually worse than Suarez.
You know what? He's not. He's a reverse diver because actually both of those times, the last few cards he's got, they weren't. He had every right to go down, but he's such a shit diver that it actually gave him. He
incriminates
didn't get
himself.
the free kick, and he got yellow cards.
As we said earlier, people need to take into consideration diving is not what you get booked for. You get booked for simulating an offence, simulating to
gain advantage
and to fool the referee. That is what you get booked for. So when you are got a slight bit of contact, the referee will decide if you go over, if you could have stayed on your feet, or if you're trying to A, get the opponent booked, or 2, gain advantage.
Flip your arms and your head back.
The way
so when you go down like Tom Daly in a pair of pink Speedos, right, then you deserve to get booked. And both occasions for me, he deserved both books.
My gripe with Bale and Suarez, this is my gripe with him too as well, because he does it from time to time, but it's not as bad.
He's not a great diver.
What Bale does is, right, there are I think 2 types of diving. Diving when there's no contact, that is abhorrent and should be completely stamped out. What Bale and Suarez do is they exaggerate the impact of contact. And I think in Bale's case, he actively looks for contact.
Yeah.
Like, he looks to make that contact so he can then go over.
And he's a master of the trailing leg.
Bale's a trailing leg expert.
He really is.
Trailing leg.
Suarez isn't a trailing leg expert.
And also, Bale runs at like ridiculously blistering pace. Suarez is more of a sort of mazy, scruffy dribbler. So Bale goes. I think Bale's more fluid motion.
Suarez dives as a last resort. Because if it's gone tits up, he'll go, oh, fuck.
He gets the shit kicked out of him.
I'll go down then, fuck it, I can't get through. I think essentially that's how it works.
Yeah.
Whereas Bale looks to go down, I think. Yeah.
And that reminds me of my dad, actually. My dad actually been to the ale house, was a bit of a scruffy dribbler. But there you go.
I thought you said your dad was always looking to go down.
Oh, hello!
Hey!
The other thing about Gareth Bale, of course, you know, is that before he was a footballer, Tim Burton employed him, of course, as an extra in Planet of the Apes. Galen's love child, he was, wasn't he?
I think he will presumably be in the summer. Will be at Real Madrid.
Oh, absolutely, 110%.
But he is a fucking brilliant footballer.
I don't agree. I don't think he's a brilliant footballer.
I think he's a tremendous football player.
I think he's a very good player in a league that's not full of outstanding players. The problem with Bale is he's got really good assets. He's nowhere near the player that, I can't bear myself to say this, he's nowhere near the player that Cristiano Ronaldo is, and I don't think he ever will be. He shares the ability to run at pace, but James sums him up perfectly. Gareth Bale would run around that pitch in circles 14 times if he can't find a way forward, rather than give it to somebody.
I disagree. I think he's an absolutely tremendous football player, and the skill sets that he has. I can't think of any other player in the Premier League who's got that exact same skill set. He's so hard. He's so hard to play against. But I'm intrigued to see how he would fare more tactically more.
Oh, cool. Go Suarez.
And I still think you could just kick him into Rose Ed. Anyway, that'd sort him out.
Bale's built like he's 6'1".
Tactical genius, mate.
Yeah, you've not seen him without his shirt on. Got some Vicks on his chest. It's like, let's have a party.
See more meat on a butcher's pencil.
Let's move on to the Southampton game. Hold on. Southampton game. You're going to put 4 on now.
Yeah. And actually, what you need to you look up at it like that.
Anyway.
I thought really, Sarah's going to go home and go, why don't you Google more cultural references?
Yeah.
Saints.
So the difference between that game and that game, we had Lucas back, and when I saw the team, I looked down the team and thought, I saw a decent team, and I went after this and I went, hold on a minute, oh God, my God, he's playing! Fucking, I couldn't believe he was playing because he's like done like half a game for the reserves and stuff, and I think there's some magic going on there. Someone's done some special thing.
What do you think he's done?
I think someone has called Christy Bird and he's brought over.
I'll just set that one.
His ladies make stones upon Lucas's body. And that is brought him back to and he put a fucking good shift in, 85 minutes with it.
88,
On the way up there, right, I actually said, I'm driving up there, I said, I'd be really concerned for the state of Liverpool Football Club if Lucas starts this match.
Hey.
Oh dear. No, I was, because I just thought it would be a very poor reflection on the squad. Then I watched Southampton play football and realised it's the
No problem.
perfect game
Yes,
to
give him
bring
a-
Lucas back into play.
Yeah.
Performances wise, okay, Suarez was amazing on the night.
But
there
he was as good as he was.
Sorry,
bad,
I was
shall we
going to
say,
say
in
about
the
Suarez.
first leg.
Yeah.
But I was going to say
passion,
Suarez. So what I was going to say about the Suarez thing was that this may be, you might be loving that game and it was fantastic, it was passionate and all that. But I think we might look at this game as the game where Suarez realised that actually he's got to leave in the summer.
What's really interesting on Suarez, between the suspensions last year and he underperformed a little bit. You got to get used to this league. He didn't have a great year. He's had a great year and he's carried us this year.
Yeah.
If he would have had this sort of year last year, we would have been in the top 4. But he's come out and he's shown himself to be a top class player without a doubt, one of the best in Europe. I think he'll give us another year.
Yeah,
I don't think he's off in the summer unless we get a ridiculous offer. I don't think naturally
50 million
he'll
plus
go.
Andy Carroll.
The only place that looks as though it's initially is, obviously City will bid, but I don't think he's going to go to City and
Barcelona, Real.
but I think Bayern.
Yeah, you say that, and we said this last week, Connor. There's going to be upheaval at Real. Jose's going to go, and Rafa's touting for that job left, right, and centre.
Just suspect he won't get.
There's obviously already upheaval at Barcelona. It's a change of structure due to the illness or whatever, So there's going to be difficulties there. So I can't actually see him going there. I do agree with you. I think he'll give us another year, but purely and simply based on the fact that he probably is in the top 3, 4, 5 footballers in the world at the moment. And if you can't go to what's probably considered the best 2 clubs in the world, then why bother going? But I do think Bayern could be a problem. I think if Guardiola at Bayern and Bayern are going to splash the cash.
If Bayern are going to splash the cash.
Yeah, if Bayern are going to splash, Suarez would be a decent target.
Bayern aren't known for splashing that type of thing.
Yeah, and financial fair play's coming.
That's right.
And, the thing is, when you get that good, the mad thing is your options get narrowed down really.
Yeah.
Well, look at Carlos Tevez, for example, isn't it? You earn that much money, where else can you go, effectively, isn't it?
But I would say though that the who should be player of the season, BBC character assassination of Suarez, without mentioning any of the misdemeanors of Bale in the same game, was unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think
and 5 Live weighted as well.
What's interesting about that whole player of the season thing is that what
can't have
are
Suarez,
they?
they can't deal with it.
Well, I don't think they probably can, but it's also that's to do with the whole culture of football about being the moral arbiters of the world.
Well, the writers won't vote for him, but this is whether the players would vote, because the players are going to choose between. RVPC when they got off the boil, it's Bale versus Suarez, isn't it?
The players' vote is based from February onwards, so Bale stands a really good chance of winning it.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone touches Bale for this issue.
I think Suarez beats him hands down.
I think.
No, I'm not talking about how good. I'm talking about who's going to win. I think Bale wins. Bale wins. Full stop for a million.
But I think that's that's to do with the terrible PR that Suarez has got, really terrible PR, and it is to do with the fact that he's foreign as well, and it's to do with all that, and everybody wanting to have a British player win it. That's the reality of it, Right.
What is it about the biting, Ian? What's got you go?
Right. Let's have a look at this now. Right. Football has gone fucking mad. Okay, it's gone mental. Okay, so. What we have is a situation where a player, it's a bad thing. I'm not condoning it. That's what people have to say. You have to say, I'm not condoning it. I'm condoning it. Fuck it. If you can get away with it, then fine. But because, you know what? It didn't really hurt him. He just did with it. Oh, God, I'm really frustrated.
Go on. Yeah. That's
it, though. He didn't hurt him. He didn't roll around going, and that's what footballers do. They roll around and as if they've been shot. But he actually didn't. He just went, ow, that hurt. And he went to the ref. He just bit me then. And that's all it is. And the ref would go, oh, don't bite him, you silly arse. Let's get on with the game. That's brilliant. Yeah, it's an insanity, right? So you have this bloke now he will be driven out of this league. Football fundamentally is an entertainment business, okay? There is not a player in the world, including Messi with that, who gives you better entertainment than Luis Suarez.
Absolutely
Because he
right.
gives you bad entertainment, he gives you good entertainment, and he gives all those twats something to talk about, okay?
Ugly
Right.
entertainment, you mean.
Yeah,
Listen,
whatever.
From someone who,
The
can't,
good,
who, someone
the
who
bad,
went to see
yeah.
WrestleMania
Right.
last week, you can't have wrestling. You can't have wrestling without a heel. You got to have a heel, and Suarez is your heel. You got to have someone to boo. You got to have a pantomime villain to hate. There
But
you go.
he is an incredible footballer.
Amazing.
He's a fantastic footballer, and we can all watch him. We can all enjoy. He scored a fantastic goal, laid on another goal, and then he handballed it. What entertainment! That's brilliant. And then he bites someone. It's fantastic. What's fantastic? That's like the people at Sky must be going, "Oh, baby Jesus, that's fantastic. Oh, that's brilliant. We can write this till the cows come home." Every single person has come out just to give them their two penneth. But you know, it's so ridiculous. I've got the Prime Minister, okay? This is like, what? It's that, right, it's that. That's
the third time he's done that.
A spokesman for the Prime Minister has said football authorities should take into account the fact that high-profile players are often role models. Okay, well, they're often they're role models.
Excuse me, before you go on to that,
Yeah.
I like to say they may be role models, but is Luis Suarez responsible for an economic deficit and spending £10 million fucking pounds on his best friend's funeral?
I don't think he is.
Or the racist Tory councillor in West Sussex.
I don't think he is.
No, okay.
Yeah, but he sucked somebody though.
He
sucked somebody
and
really
there's been
hard.
many a Tory politician who's done that as well.
I'm not talking about Suarez.
And you know what's fine? What's fine is that footballers wander around waving their money around in repulsively fast cars, going around nightclubs and shagging 15 women a night.
Or being
and
four
playing.
people from Manchester City who've all got fucking speeding points
Yeah.
who could kill people.
Yeah, and yet just throw but players who just to drive along and just park because actually, you know, if I get a parking fine, I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck about that. But that's aspirational, apparently. That's aspiration. And then, nor is he a person who actually goes out to hurt people. He's not a player like that. You know what he is? Fundamentally, he's an entertainer and he's also a winner. He just wants to win, so he will do anything to win, anything at all. But actually, he doesn't go out trying to hurt people. So find me on the YouTubes a tackle where he's gone out to injure someone. You're not going to find one. Find me one of Graham Souness's tackles, and I will tell you that three tackles.
Souness tackle on YouTube.
There's one about. Have a look at that. It's Sauerbrück arrest, and it's unbelievable.
It's now an iconic tackle.
Oh, it's just unbelievable. So this man takes a moral high ground.
Hold on. He puts on the
Jamie
face.
Redknapp takes a moral high. Jamie Redknapp, always all beautiful. Jamie Redknapp was fucking shagging his way around the England team. He's on that video of who else is on that video? Of him wandering around shagging loads of
and
birds.
His dad's a tax
double
dodger.
ending loads of birds and you know he's no, you can't take a moral high ground of anything. His dad's never paid a fucking penny tax in his life. It's disgraceful.
So what do you think the football commentators said about this in the papers?
Well, you know, because the football commentators hold on, I'm not ready yet. The football commentators are just like it is indicative of all media at the moment, is that they get one tiny thing and they go on and they go on and they go on and they go on. 5 Live had their call in about it. And you're just like, what? Like a normal thing. Well, they should be talking about Syria. They should be talking about
economy.
But you know, anything, Boston. But Nicky Campbell's talking about fucking Suarez doing that. And it's nothing. It's stupid. But because it's him, because he's foreign, because he supposedly said something racist, which of course has still never been proven. It's like it's in insanity, and they've just turned him in to somebody they will drive on a football. He'll get a 15-game ban or something ridiculous. Even though somebody else done exactly the same thing and got a yellow card and didn't get anything.
That nobody remembered. Let's be honest.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't remember it, but it was Daniel. It was
Jermaine
Defoe in 2006.
So
Yeah,
you know
thank
what?
you very much.
You know what? I've had enough.
Shirt's
That's
going
it.
off.
It's going off.
It's the first time this season.
I put a bit of weight on it.
Actually, to be honest,
Come on! I'm sick of it.
I mean, looking at the shirt, actually, that's probably
It's
not
going to
bad
be
thing.
difficult with the microphone now, isn't it? I've had enough.
Clip it to your nipple.
I've had enough.
Clip it to your nipple.
There you go.
It's not one of those videos.
So to top off your anger, then, you'd be glad to know that the real moral arbiters of taste are Fleet Street. They
of course, those good people in Fleet Street, those good people at the newspapers. Yeah, let's just think about what the newspapers have been.
The summary basically is Cannibal Suarez must go.
Yeah, fantastic.
And there you go.
That'll be was that the Daily Mail or the Sun or somebody like that?
Give us a few actually, don't ever read the one out from the
No,
Sun.
I'm not going to.
But give us a few choice.
So the Mail were quite poetic in their analysis of it.
Right.
They're quoting Oscar Wilde.
Oscar Wilde. Well,
apparently,
genius. This is Daily Mail, the homophobic Daily Mail.
The homophobic Mail is quoting Oscar Wilde. Genius makes princes out of those who have it, but there's nothing princely about Suarez.
Did Oscar Wilde actually say that? I missed
From Beyond the Grave, he commented
hang on, I missed that somewhere. And I thought it was fairly
chomping on the arm was despicable. So
why is it despicable? Why is that despicable when a 2-footed challenge on someone,
or an elbow in
the side of his face that can blind you, break your jaw,
Suarez,
anything like that.
Suarez, which
everybody,
Torres did on
footballers.
Carragher.
Yeah.
You know that's that.
Do you want more?
Yeah,
go on, carry on.
More fuel to your fire. James Lawton asks, "What are Liverpool going to do about Luis Suarez?"
They're going to apologise and then move on.
Yeah,
that's what they should be doing.
Well, apparently the cleansing effect should be saying adios, hombre, thanks, but in the end, no thanks.
Oh yeah, that'll be great. Like Man United did with Cantona then.
Yeah.
Cantona kicked a fan. He launched himself from the field of play and kicked a fan. Okay.
Oscar toe pokes a ball boy, a non-combatant, a non-member of the playing field. What do you get? 1 game ban.
1 game ban. Right, this bloke will get 50. He'll get 15.
Okay, so I'll carry on, Stu. What else you got? There's some crackers in there.
The Express, obviously, aspiring to be the Mail is probably worse than the Mail, I guess. It's inconceivable.
What did Diana think about it?
House prices have gone up.
Yeah.
It's inconceivable that he will not now face a lengthy suspension.
Well done, then.
My favourite, though, because you've got to do it for me. I used to have an awful lot of respect for dear old Henry Winter. Yeah, Henry, when you read Henry's out, which I think is the top.
I think he's crying. You think he's crying?
Henry Winter is basically a twat.
It's difficult to see how Liverpool could continue to employ Luis Suarez after his latest assault on the fabric of the game.
Oh, shut up!
I think he's tore that fabric up and he's done a poo on it.
It's just ridiculous. I tell you who Liverpool should have got rid of. El Hadj Diouf. When El Hadj Diouf spat at that Celtic fan, he should have been off. He should have been.
Hang on a minute, and he's carried on doing it.
There's been a spitting offence in the Premier League. 2 game ban.
Okay.
2 game ban.
But it
this season, 2 game ban.
All right. Okay. Well, you know.
Thankfully, there has been one voice of reason, and not surprisingly, somebody from Scotty Road.
Yeah.
So Tony Evans in the Times said, "One thing is certain: there is next to no morality in this game." Which I think was your opening gambit, you know, in short.
Look at me now. Does this look moral to you?
It's not morality. Players drop kick fans, toe poke ball boys, and brawl with teammates. Yeah, I think that's how we understand football. Does that?
Yeah. Great entertainment, isn't it?
If they contribute to the team, their misbehaviour is soon forgotten. I think that's a truism.
Yeah.
Despite their touchy-feely image, the likes of Barcelona and Bayern Munich are hard-nosed and aggressive in the transfer market. Yeah.
Yeah.
Expecting Liverpool to be any different is to misunderstand how football works.
You know, if
the most common sense
if the lunatics who run this club decide, it's been terrible PR, I tell you what, they'll be queuing up. Barcelona, Real Madrid, they'll be queuing up.
Manchester City.
Because he wouldn't go to City, but
whoever pays the dollar.
I don't think he would. Actually, you know what? I think he's a good bloke. That's the ridiculous thing.
Sorry, I've just forgot. There's one last thing I forgot to mention is that David Maddock in the Mirror referred to as being downright demonic and a concerted slashing of demented jaws that resembled nothing less than a pitbull attack. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it. No.
There's
I
many.
forgot.
There's
That's a
many,
classic.
There's many a pit bull that sucks on someone's.
No, but you know what? He took the round off a lemon. I think that's about all.
Yeah, toothless.
There is
but toothless suck.
You know,
That's
the
all
bloke's,
it was.
the bloke's a dickhead. He does all these things all the time.
Yeah.
He's a dickhead.
Yeah,
but you know
he's got
what?
screw loose.
You know what? He's a dickhead.
Wow,
But that's all he is. He ain't.
fast,
He ain't. He's not an evil man. It's like, you know, he must be frightened for his safety, you know, and the safety of his family, because it's that people stuff gets whipped up like it's insane.
Well, I've got a nice expression for you, because we're actually going to talk about a real strange voice of reason. But one of our, I love this terminology, one of our American cousins has actually put in a new term for people like Graham Souness.
Right.
He said that he was so incensed by going on YouTube and seeing the Graham Souness commentary on the effect.
Right.
I'd like to go back to that bit. This is the Graham Souness, forget all the challenges that you've just referred to, forget he wanted to hurt people. This is Graham Souness, who in Stuart said, put on the sombre face, who used the fucking words, this week of all weeks, he chooses to behave like that in the wake of, Anne Williams' sad passing away and the anniversary of Hillsborough. Sorry, Graham, did Lewis tell his fucking story to the Sun in the week of the Hillsborough disaster, which I think is a damn sight more fucking disrespectful. But he said, these people are not pundits, they're cundits. And I think that's a fantastic terminology. But today, on Monday Night Football, where unfortunately as we're recording this, someone's romping away with their 20th league title, Gary Neville, prior to the game, was a complete and utter voice of reason. Now, a few highlights of what Gary Neville said I'm going to tell you, but it's worth going on YouTube and looking it up.
The world truly has gone mad.
Right. Gary Neville said that this is a massive overreaction. It's absolute nonsense. He said the fact that he should be driven out of the country and never play for Liverpool again is completely ridiculous. He also said that to understand it, he'd put himself you'd have to go back into the dressing room. He said, so I'm in the dressing room when that's happened, right? Do I think you've let my team down? Yeah, a little bit on the day. Do I think you've let the club down? Yeah. But we all make mistakes. I made them. He said, I threw coins in the past. I saluted the badge when I shouldn't have done. We've all made mistakes. And if you're a human being, you will make mistakes. What you do is you said, do I shun that guy? Do I throw him overboard? Or is he my teammate? Do I look at all the times he's got my arse out of trouble for the rest of the season, right? Or do I then put my arm around him and say, all right, mate, let's try and help you get a bit better out of it? That's Gary Neville.
But isn't it also to do with the way football is essentially still run by Man United, and it's all the agenda. Any other team that's in shit is that everybody gets on the bandwagon, especially Liverpool. I don't know why, especially Liverpool, but everybody gets on the bandwagon. And if that was a Man United player, it would be shut down. He'd shut the press down. He'd stop
No. To be fair, I mean, when Ferdinand got his drugs banned, that didn't. That's hardly running the FA, is it? The guy ended up with 8 months out of the game. And I think that,
I think Lance Armstrong would say that 8 months out of the game is a pretty fair exchange for a lifetime ban.
But that wasn't about the press. That was about physically what he got from the.
Oh, yeah,
what I'm saying. Let's talk about the press, shutting the press down. Is like the furore in the press is just. All bets are off when it's Liverpool.
Well, let's be honest, it's 24 hours.
Ferguson shut it down.
Ferguson, if you write anything, you're not coming into our press conference.
I think I'd judge that by Wednesday, I think, because I think Liverpool, unlike the Evra incident, put out their statement the same night.
Got those. The Don's got those. You've got the response from the club here.
There was a response, which this time, obviously they've learned from the Evra thing, and whatever response they come up with it very, very quickly. And of course, it's also the response, I think, from what you'll hear is what the establishment want to hear.
Yeah.
It's the PR machine, which is a woman now, I believe. There you go.
Well, I'll tell you what, Susan, if you're silly enough to be listening to this podcast,
yes.
My God, you're the best appointment the club's made for a long, long time.
I didn't realise she was interim, so she just on Thursday was when she got took on permanently.
Yeah.
So the first incident from being took on permanently is a biting incident. Brilliant.
Absolutely, and given a rise. I mean, for instance,
she hasn't bitten off more than she can chew with the jaw.
Hey! So Brendan's saying, I hear all sorts of what has supposedly. I hear all sorts of what has supposedly happened. But okay, but it'll go away. Review it and comment later. I'll go away and speak to the Fenway Sports Group afterwards and take it from there. Even now, I think he's still saying too much, I think, on that. He added that this is a club with incredible values and ethics here. As footballers, managers and staff, we are representing this great club on and off the field. Yeah, fair enough, we know that. I will always speak openly and honestly about the players and protect them when I can, and if I think they're wrong, I'll tell them. As I've already this season with Lewis, when the striker admitted to diving. Now, that's all very well for him to say that, right? That's fine. He's coming out and telling us that. Actually, Fergie would have just said, no comments. Shut up,
we'll deal
all
with
of
it
you.
internally.
Yeah. No comment, and that's it. And leave you to get on with it. You know, people have to accept it when they do wrong if that's what the case is. And I think all this business, allegedly, if that's what the case is...
Is that the written statement, though? He didn't say all that.
This is the statement this morning.
This is a written statement, remember, so it's kind of...
They have to accept the consequences.
If he said it, then I said it as well.
Yeah, they have to accept the consequences accordingly. It's disappointing that we're not talking about the football. Of course it is. Well, shut up and let's talk about the football.
No, he should have said, I'm still fuming for the deliberate handball.
Oh yes, but then of course, but by contrast, Benitez goes, I thought it was an emotional return.
That's it. Yeah,
Bit of a silence. Yeah. I was pleased with the reception of the fans and disappointed with the late goal conceded, especially as I couldn't understand why there were 6 minutes and 45 seconds of Fergie time. And that's just, So I mean, there's a lesson for it. Just say it in a few syllables. Shut up and just make it go away.
Apparently, and then Suarez tweeted as soon as the game finished, he was saying he apologised.
He first of all he apologised first via Twitter, which was probably managed through Susan Black.
There we are. I'm not. You're coming too slow. Go on.
Well, you ranted on for flipping 45 minutes on the last one.
I've got my shirt off though.
Oh, for God's sake. Well, yes, I'd rather keep it quick. I'm deeply sorry for my inexcusable behaviour earlier today during our match against Chelsea. Did he say that in English then? That's very good. Nice one, Susan. I've issued an apology and have tried to contact Branislav Ivanovic to speak to him personally. I apologise also to my manager, playing colleagues and everyone at Liverpool Football Club for letting them down. Again, bang, dead quick. Deal with it. That's not him that's done it. It's difficult to tweet with your hand behind your back, but there you go. And earlier he said, I'm sad for what happened this afternoon because I was trying to take a chunk, but I didn't quite get proper purchase. Anyway, I apologise, Ivanovic and all football world, for my inexcusable behaviour. I'm so sorry about it. 2 exclamation marks. So he must be sorry.
Okay, we now look at the other reaction from the club. He's been fined automatically. Yeah. They won't disclose the amount, but they've donated. And Suarez's next public statement was to say that he's donating. He's told the club to donate the fine to the Hillsborough Family Support Group.
Very sensible. Very good.
As a charity. As a charity.
Well, they're not a charity.
Oh well, I was going to say because all it takes is the Daily Mirror to check what the accounts are. But that's good. And in a statement, he said, Lewis is Ian Ayre, of course, who's cancelled his trip to Australia.
Oh,
why is he going to Australia? And who's paying for it?
That's not the taxpayer, is it? So don't worry.
But the season ticket payer is, the shirt buying payer is, that's for sure.
Go on, what are you saying?
In a statement, Lewis has made an unreserved... Don't you fucking start on me and all, now, fucking hell. Lewis has made an unreserved apology for his actions today. His behaviour is not befitting of any player wearing a Liverpool shirt. Lewis is aware that he's let himself and everyone associated with the club down. We will deal with the matter internally and await any action from the FA.
That's the 3 lines that needed to go out.
Yeah.
That's it.
So,
at least they've done the right thing.
He's been charged with...
he's been charged with violent conduct.
So, do you hear John Barnes' statement about it?
I've got that.
John Barnes?
John Barnes has got... John Barnes talking to BBC 5 Live, Luis Suarez has anger management problems and issues, but you have to suffer the consequences. People talk about it reflecting badly on the club, but that is not true. It reflects badly on the player concerned. In terms of people saying he will never play for Liverpool, I don't think that's true or acceptable.
What also is quite funny because there's been a lot of support for him, and But then you got the kiss of death. Joey Barton tweeted,
Come out on his side.
Oh, Jesus Christ, we're in trouble now. And
Well, did you see the Twitter follower he picked up yesterday?
Yeah, with Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
But this anger management course he's going to go on.
No, go on. Taylor's offered it.
They're going to just try.
My turn.
What language is that going to be in?
Whoa, my turn now. My turn. Gordon fucking Taylor, who comes out today and says, not only are they, let's go out touchy-feely, we are the union who spend £1 million on fucking Lowry paintings to hang up in our offices of our members' money, and we will look after him and offering anger management issues. Oh, so Gordon, what would you feel if Luis Suarez is named the PFA Player of the Year? Well, that'll be an embarrassment. That's his fucking quote. It will be embarrassing, but I'll have to deal with it. Yes, but, okay, so the next top favourite is the man who's been booked 5 times for fucking cheating this season. But that'll be totally acceptable. If he wins it in his place, that'll be totally acceptable.
See, that's the moral code of football on its head. It's like, you can cheat in falling over, but you can't cheat any other way.
You cheat and get caught in falling over.
But the story is that the voting for the PFA closed on Saturday.
It's going to be like Rod Stewart with Sex Pistols over again. They'll just deem it Rod Stewart number
I know,
one.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I mean,
there's a reference. There's one for the kids.
For teenagers. But if he gets a 15-game ban and then wins PFA Player of the Year, that'd be beautiful, wouldn't it?
But don't worry,
let's just think about that.
Never going to happen.
Let's just think about that.
Yeah, it's
we
fucking
could
funny.
Yeah.
Never going to happen.
I've got a couple of other crackers for you. Tim Vickery and the BBC South African sports correspondent says that the South American sports correspondent says that it seems that all Suarez does is he breaks the 11th commandment, don't get caught. Which he said because he's crap, as you said, he's been many times. He's a crap diver. Whatever he does wrong, he's very, very bad at it. Right? You've got Tony Evans did a second comment today. Believes Liverpool cannot afford to sell Luis Suarez because of the message this will send out to potential transfer targets. Are Liverpool amongst Europe's big boys, or will they become mid-table feeder club fodder? I'm sure he wanted to add the words like Arsenal on the end to that. The philosophical reasons for keeping Suarez make more sense than the financial reasons for letting him go. There's been some crackers. Daily Mail. I've got the chain of events. There's some fantastic in this. Dominic King from the Daily Mail. He may clean up his act for 10 to 12 months, but then something else will happen. It always does.
For God's
Brilliant. It's genius, isn't it?
Genius. A clean break this summer must happen for the good of football. Suarez is too high maintenance. Liverpool cannot afford to keep being damaged
Let's be honest. It's been a bit. He's been the only one. Now Balotelli went. It was like
he's entertainment.
Neil Lennon. That bastion of fair play. Neil Lennon says. Neil Lennon says, I've never seen anything like it. I understand he's got previous for it. A club like Liverpool, with the tradition and discipline it sets, this should be one thing too many.
What's it going to do with Neil Lennon anyway?
He's just won the Sunday League in Scotland, doesn't he? So he's probably pissed.
Because he got interviewed on 5 Live this morning.
Didn't he play alongside
so
that
of course
big Welsh...
Nicky Campbell's going to ask him, isn't he?
Didn't he play alongside that big Welsh lad who nearly took someone's head off in training?
Yeah, kicked him in the head.
Didn't he? Like as a samurai.
But he was kicked in the face by Alan Shearer, and the FA went, "Oh, England captain, big important game."
Well, let's be honest.
Let's ignore that completely.
Like we said before, who remembers Defoe biting Mascherano?
No one.
But because it didn't matter.
No.
It matters now, apparently.
Yeah. But I've got another.
Oh, but did you know the police were called?
Oh, it's a beautiful thing.
Police went to Branis Ivanovic's house because of complaints from members of the public. They bothered to send the police. What's the fucking cost in sending the? Not surprisingly, the police then issued a press statement to say they would be taking no further action.
999. Fire, please.
And then, thankfully,
I've just seen on the telly a footballer beating another footballer.
Thankfully, I don't know whether anybody were confused about it, but I don't know whether you were confused as to whether because Suarez wears Adidas boots, they were somehow condoning the fact that he
I thought they were. I thought Adidas were behind it.
And thankfully they put that to bed because they've come out. Adidas takes this type of incident very seriously, and we do not condone Luis Suarez's behaviour. We will be reminding him of the standards we accept from our players. That's Adidas.
If he had an Adidas gum shield or something, fair
it's
enough.
like,
Boots?
it's just an insanity.
I mean, is Marks and Spencer's, who probably does his jockstrap, going to come in with this or something?
It's insanity.
What's that phrase?
What's happening to the world?
This type of incident. So what do they bracket under this type? What else comes under biting arms?
They'll be reminding him, Adidas. They'll be reminding. Sorry about it. Can I just remind you? You shouldn't go around biting people's arms.
Hold on,
You could save me so much trouble.
Hell from Irish.
Louis, the contract. Louis, look there.
No biting.
No biting other players. Will you sign this?
No bombing.
No heavy petting.
Oh no, that's allowed.
No smoking on the
By
water.
the way, if you keep taking the mickey out of the wrestling at the start of every, no biting, no gouging, no scratching. There you go.
It was in the wrestling.
Out of the ring.
You know the daft fake wrestling the Americans do.
Yeah.
He was out. They went to America to watch it. Unbelievable. Anyway, have we got any more?
Other thing is, somebody brought the obvious comparison of that this happens all the time in rugby.
Yeah.
This happens all. And then
no, that's ruined it, hasn't it? That's ruined the rugby's reputation.
And then to condone it in rugby, but they're nearer. Their mouths are nearer to their arms.
That's what they said on the radio this morning. On the radio.
Mouths are nearer to their
That's
arms.
what on the radio this morning, and somebody said, but that's when you've got like 7 or 8 blokes all together in a huddle.
So they're more likely to bite.
Yeah.
So we're rationalising biting on the sports field.
It's all right, yeah.
You have to say, God bless Rafa Benitez for being the only human being involved in football who's taken a completely sensible view about this.
Has he taken a non-bitist view here?
Imagine if that game was against United. I mean, literally, he would have been hung. They would have torn him limb from limb, wouldn't they? It's just...
On a more serious note, though, I mean, there is something... Liverpool, while they've got Suarez, have basically got to have somebody talking to him, but also not talking to the point that they talk out the genius out of him at the expense of,
I don't think...
It's not premeditated.
How will you ever stop?
No, I'm not saying you stop it, but I think that Liverpool...
In the heat of the moment...
I'm not saying you stop it, I'm just saying to try and eliminate the risk of it. I just think it's something they have to work on. That's all I'm saying. He's a potential £50 million asset.
Yeah, but that's easy, isn't it? It's easy. All they've got to do is, Oi, Lewis, no!
No biting. No.
Simple. No. Yeah. Nada bite. Nada.
I don't know. I mean,
it's easy.
Have you got any more quotes?
No, I've got. I mean, I just want to just before we move on slightly. Mr. Souness has come back this afternoon. It says,
was he not playing golf?
Instead of much of the post-match reaction is centred on his aggression on Ivanovic, with Souness stunned by the incident. Stunned. The man that walked on the pitch at Fenerbahce and started a war by planting a flag in the centre of the pitch.
Was that aggressive?
The man that started the almost like a sectarian riot in the Glasgow derby. Says, a football club's board of directors' job is to attract and get the best football players and keep them at the football club.
George Weah's cousin?
He's making it very...
That's very strong.
Get in there. He's making it very difficult for himself to stay at Liverpool. This puts him in the last chance saloon. More important than any of that is to safeguard the good name of the football club.
Of course, because he'd be keen on that.
The club is a world-renowned football club. It is up there with Barcelona, Real Madrid, Manchester United. It's up there with any of them. Souness believes the incident came at a bad time for Liverpool. This week marked the 24th anniversary of the Hillsborough disaster. The 59-year-old pointed to Suarez's checkered past that's seen him involved in several controversies. People will be talking about this for a long, long time, and it's going to show Liverpool in a very bad light. Again, he says, especially this week of all weeks.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
If you look at Suarez's track record in the past, he doesn't shut up. This is his incident with Patrice Evra. Let's bring that one back. This is not the first time he's bitten someone in a football match. which, funnily enough, was his last game for Ajax.
Yeah.
Never played again for the club after that.
7 match ban, so we bought him.
It can't happen again. The board have got to see it that way. They're risking everything this great football club stands for. Well, we used to have a boot room, Graham, till you fucking ripped it down and destroyed the traditions of the club from the inside as well, mate. So
and Paul Stewart and Julian Dix.
Paul Stewart.
Paul
Stewart,
Stewart,
yeah.
good God,
And
yeah,
Paul
there you go.
Stewart.
Yeah,
Julian,
Burley, yeah,
and some of the great
yeah,
signings
yeah.
that, of course, the moral high ground, Julian Dix. You know, let's
He was a
bring,
good bloke, wasn't he?
Yeah, lovely bloke.
Nice.
I mean, I love Don Hutchinson to bits, but he wasn't exactly renowned for his subtlety, was he? As well, you know?
No. And wear a Budweiser, though,
Exactly,
like nobody
yeah.
else.
Yeah.
So, I just, to me, but I think this will go on and on and on.
They'll go into the summer.
When are they announcing the ban?
Well, he's got
Tomorrow.
24 hours to. He's going to cough to it, obviously.
Of course,
He's
yeah,
got 24 hours to accept the charge tomorrow, and he'll be banned before we play New. You watch the ban kick in before we play Newcastle, and of course that rules him out of the derby.
Yeah, of course it will. Well, as soon as he did it, he was gone for the derby.
Yeah.
I think he's gone for the season at least.
Of course, that's the last we see
The
him in
worst,
this
the worst
season.
thing will be is how many games they do. Well, okay, let's just briefly discuss that. Terry gets 4-game ban for racially abusing someone, and racially abusing Anton Ferdinand. Is it worse than is sucking someone's arm or even attempting to bite someone's arm worse than racial abuse?
I don't know. The thing is, I don't have the moral code.
Ben Thatcher.
It depends.
Ben
Did he bite him in a racist way?
You know, Ben Thatcher, on Pedro Mendes, right? Even though the referee saw the incident, everybody's argument on the Defoe one is, well, the referee yellow carded him, so they couldn't go back and take retrospective action.
That's one of the weirdest rules ever, isn't
Well,
it?
so but it doesn't count because the referee booked Ben Thatcher for decapitating Pedro Mendes, and the outcry was similar, and they took action on Ben Thatcher and gave him a lengthy ban. I think that was 6 games.
Suarez is foreign. That's the only thing
Johnny
that's different.
Foreigner.
Okay.
He's foreign,
All right.
and they're going to
It's
do
how
it.
many games into next season he gets banned.
Well,
for.
I'm hoping he doesn't, but I can see it. I think the 15 for me just rings true. It just feels like
Joey Barton.
You think
Joey
they're
Barton
running
got
15?
Barton got 7 games.
Yeah.
I reckon he'll get 3 to 5 with a 6-game suspension, a 6-game suspended sentence on top of it.
Well, we could take a sweep here. How many games have we
What's
got
the
left?
what's
How
the
many-
6 games
sorry?
suspended
5
sentence?
games since it. I think they'll he's been banned. Okay, you can't take previous into it because it was in a different country. You
But they
shouldn't
will.
take it.
But they
No,
will.
yeah, okay. I agree. They probably will. How many players have we brought into this country that have been suspended for violent tackles in the past? Does that get added to their record?
No. But it will.
But it will. It won't be said,
So
and it
I
won't be
think-
admitted
I
to.
think
But it
they'll
will.
want to show a heavy action, but they also know if they go over the top, Liverpool are going to appeal. If Liverpool really went
won't
for it,
appeal.
no, I know,
No, they
but
won't.
it depends on the length of the ban because. If you go by what's been proven, it's a yellow card, which it isn't. It's an instant red card, all right? I think they'll take a middle ground to appease people by saying, well, he's got this sword of Damocles hanging over him. He'll get a 5-game ban to the end of the season and a 6-game.
I mean, this is what I mean. If you think back to
When you say suspended, what do
a
you mean?
6-game. What do you call it? Like when you say like a suspended sentence, effectively.
Okay.
Have a 5-game sentence and a 6-game suspended based on future behaviour. Suspended sentence. That's
Okay,
what
so next time he gets
it'll be added onto a ban.
But then you have to specify what he gets that for.
Well,
though.
yeah, it'd be violent conduct. You could only.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, when the FA did Cantona, United actually went in with a plea. They went in with an offer, didn't they? They said, "Look, we want to ban him for this long."
They wanted to ban him to the end of the season. It didn't work.
And the FA still went, "Well, no, you're going to get more than that, I'm afraid." So you can't. You're not going to win with the FA.
No, you just got to take it.
You're just going to take whatever they give you. And what is it? It's still the same. Bloody, what is it? 98%.
Old codgers.
No. So I'm saying 98% punishment rate, isn't it? They
Oh,
see a case,
yeah,
and
yeah.
98% of the times they win.
They will. I mean, yeah. That's and
So it's
Liverpool.
kind of pointless,
Liverpool
isn't it?
from
What
a
do you
PA,
think
Liverpool
ban
from a
should
PA point of view
Well, definitely end of the season,
will not
What do
appeal.
you should be or will be?
What do you think?
Oh,
what do you think
what
it
he
should
deserves.
be? No, that's the question I want to ask. What do you, Ian? What do you? You 3 guys.
I reckon
right?
3
what do you
games
think it
into
should
next-
be, and what do you think it will be?
I think it at worst. This is what I think it should be at worst. Is like 3 games into next season, so it feels like a real punishment. If they do it at the end of the season, that's not a real
Really?
punishment.
Does he deserve that?
No, I said at worst. I said at worst. I said at worst. And that to me would feel bad.
What do you think he should get?
I think at the end of the season.
Really? Does he deserve that for just that?
It's a 5 game.
I think it's a red card, mate. To be honest.
I do. I think it's a.
I think it's a 3-match ban.
All right, a yellow. I'm not saying because I want it to be.
I think it's a yellow.
No, I know.
I'm not saying it because I want it to be.
No. The question is, what do you think it should be?
Should
what I
and
think
will.
it will.
Oh, what I think it should be. It should be a 3-match ban.
Yeah.
But I think you'll get the rest of the season. Oh,
it's a yellow card. It's not.
In today's mad world, it probably is a red card. But I'd agree with you. It's
you know.
The colouring of the news now to me means there's no way on earth it can be seen anything more than a red card plus. Unfortunately.
No. But I mean, we're not asking what it will be. I'm asking. Then
I'd say some red card.
And you know, the referee didn't say it, so it's not a yellow card. But you know, I think he will get 15. I think he'll get 15 or maybe 10.
Oh, I hope so.
Don, what do you think?
Should be 3-match, will be end of the season and 3 matches into.
Yeah, that's
what
will be.
Should be red card based on the current climate, and will be banned to the end of the season and then suspended sentence, as I said earlier.
Is there any precedent for that?
Yeah, there is. When managers get touchline bans, they get stuff carried over and held over.
I'm not sure you'll be able to police that.
Well, we have before we go into other stuff. We did ask some of the readers and tweeters to send some stuff in. We've had a couple of bits in. Posh James, it was clear to me that Suarez, having grown frustrated with Ivanovic's very close, but to be fair, legal marking, he bit him whilst the attention was elsewhere to provoke a response from him, which I totally agree with. This worked as Ivanovic clubbed Luis round the head and both fell in the box. On another day, or in South America, the ref may have seen that and fallen for it and given him a penalty and red carded the defender. This isn't right, but it's gamesmanship. Exactly what you said. Already growing tired of the media portraying Suarez as a lunatic, as they claim they can't possibly understand why he did it. It's exactly true.
It's even funny when you think of it, like, you know, that he's going, if nobody sees this, I bite him and he hits me, I'll get a penalty and he'll get sent off.
Yeah, but I think that's how his head works.
It's an amazing calculation. It's like, it's brilliant.
We've got a message from...
He works on a different operating system. He really
I wasn't
does.
that visionary.
Ian Winman writes, how as a Liverpool fan and massive Suarez fan, he was also at the game. I can only think biting Ivanovic's arm was a massive mistake, and he'll judged with every television camera in the world watching.
Yeah.
Right? That's the bit I don't understand, actually. At what point does it not go through your head? Hang on a minute.
Well, you know, you say that. I watched it on my computer. I stumbled across watching it on my computer. I don't know how I managed to do it. And I watched it.
Were you doing that prevention of people watching illegal?
Yeah, I was trying to make sure no one else watched it.
Research is good.
Just literally put a cordon around my computer to make sure nobody else watched it. And I watched it through an American stream. And they didn't really pick up on it. They didn't.
Do you see Fox Soccer?
No, it was Fox Soccer. Yeah. And they tried to kiss him.
They said it was a kiss. Beautiful.
Was that predicted text or something?
No, that's their strapline. That was their ticket tape.
But why would they think that?
I don't know why they would do that.
And in actual fact, if it was a kiss, what and it was a kiss on the arm.
It was a love bite. It was a love bite. There you go.
Why is that news? You know.
Well, also, Ian Winman continues, soon S be quiet, media pack it in, he's donating his fine to the HFSG, he'll take his punishment, he's apologised, and quite fittingly, Ivanovic will not be drawn on the matter.
No, well, hats off to Ivanovic. I think Ivanovic.
And he's got here, end of, and that's exactly what it should be.
And that's what, that's great.
Did you know that Luis Suarez left with Ivanovic's shirt yesterday?
Yeah, they swapped shirts.
They swapped shirts after the game.
He left with Ivanovic's shirt between his teeth.
That's another. I've got to tell you, I was quite amazed at this one. Did you know that Fernando Torres refused to leave the dressing room after the game because he heard that Suarez wanted Nando's for his tea?
Come on, everyone!
But
it looked to me as if Fernando Torres refused to leave the dressing room before the match.
Also, as apparently Liverpool have accepted a £19 million offer for Suarez from Borussia Mönchengladbach centre-back.
Come on!
In all seriousness, the only point, Ian, because you haven't yet seen all of the Sky coverage, when you've got Jamie Redknapp.
You're chicken farting. What do you mean, what?
It's not working.
Rubbish.
You've got Jamie Redknapp. Look, the bingo wings are going here. You've got Jamie Redknapp and Graham Souness pontificating, and the Sky presenter cuts in and says, I have to stop you there, Jamie. These are live pictures. And it was Suarez texting walking out with the Chelsea shirt in his bag along the Liverpool touchline, and they followed him for 30 seconds while he's looking at his phone, and the commentator went, I don't think he needs a text for someone to tell him what he's done. And they come back to the studio, and you've got Redknapp thinking, how the fuck do I pick up from there?
By the way, did you see the predictive text on Sky's Stand Firsts? They did, when Steven Gerrard was on camera, it was Steven Gerrard, Liverpool manager.
Brendan Rodgers, style over substance. What is his philosophy? What is the said philosophy? And are you getting sick of him going banging on about bloody philosophy?
Let me just go. I've got some other little stats here. A bit for this game. We've got to get past this first game. Got so much others to talk about. 23 shots. Sunderland had 7 shots.
This is a familiar story, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've heard that before.
Let me ask you, sorry, what's the difference between Liverpool under Brendan Rodgers and Liverpool under Kenny Dalglish?
Under Brendan Rodgers, it's a more pronounced philosophy that the manager always goes on about. Under Kenny Dalglish, he didn't really talk about the philosophy so much. But I was saying this to both of you earlier this season. Yeah. We were playing a lot of short passing.
Played really nice football last
season.
I don't see any difference.
That's the Liverpool mantra: pass and move.
Yeah,
that's what this podcast is called.
I think with Rodgers, it's more pronounced, and he's one of those new breed of managers who's so intertwined with his tactical philosophy. That's his thing. Dalglish's wasn't that. Dalglish is from the old school, and for Brendan Rodgers, he's so.
Let me give you
the same thing wrapped up in new paper.
Let me give you an interesting stat. Liverpool opened against West Brom. Mm-hmm. They then played
Man City.
They then played Arsenal. Right. They lost to West Brom. They drew with Man City, and they lost to Arsenal. Right. Swansea last season under Brendan Rodgers beat West Brom away. They beat Arsenal at home. And they drew with Man City. Now, this is
they beat Man City at home.
Sorry, they beat Man City at home. Yeah. So you've they're 7 points instead of 1. Is same manager, different squads? Is that knocked down to? Now only 3 games, small sample. And to be honest, I looked up today. Actually, Swansea lost 2-0 to Sunderland. But 7 points as opposed to 1. Same manager, same philosophy, different squad.
There's often the idea, and we were talking about this earlier, maybe with Hodgson in a completely different way, but when a manager is so wed to his philosophy, you have to have all of the players buy into it. And there's an argument to state that players of a supposedly lesser ability, when you've got a squad of players like that, they find it easy to gel as a team unit and all buy into it. Whereas, for example, there's been a lot of talk about whether Steven Gerrard is cut out to fit into Brendan Rodgers' new look style. This is a man who... He's one of the most celebrated players of his generation, regarded as probably one of the top 3 players we've ever had. And he's
according to the Guardian, was in the all-time world 11 ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Ever.
And you've got to think, a player like him. I think he's good enough technically to fit into any sort of style in the world, but he's 32, going on 33. He might be set in his ways in a football style.
But I think the Gerrard's gift, an ultimate gift, what is his fitness and his strength and his burst of energy. At 33, that's gonna.
That's the Michael Owen.
Find out.
Yeah. That's the Michael Owen argument.
Absolutely.
That once he lost his pace, he lost.
Anyway, so
how's that thing going for getting through your points?
I'm not very well.
I think for me, it was a bit Sunday league. Well, I can't help myself. I think if you enter a competition, you got to try and win it. Yeah. And everyone laughs at the Europa League, but when it was the UEFA Cup, one of the great nights of my life was in Dortmund. Another Sunday league game, mind you. But sort of, and to me, it's about going to these big occasions and and all the fun that's involved in it. And and the experiences and the adventures, and I think throwing away a chance to do that, I think it's a mistake personally.
But I don't think, presumably what he's doing is balancing the probability of a team beating us with the probability of us actually, he's playing the maths, isn't he? Because actually, if you needed to win that game to get through to the next round, to the presumably we've got to play. It's a kind of league system now, and then we've got to get through to.
He didn't play a particularly weakened team against Hearts, did he?
No, because we needed to get through.
But also,
we paid the price for that against Arsenal.
Yeah.
But the message of last year, which is disturbing, is that cups don't matter.
Yeah, that's very true.
And you know, I hate that message. I think it's the wrong message. I think cups do matter. I want to win cups.
Yeah. I would have won every trophy they were
we said last year it's great. It must be great to be an Arsenal fan and drive around an open top bus showing off your bank balance to everybody.
Carrying on with this tittle tattle though, just going back to the being Liverpool thing. It was just if you're saying how dull it is, when Oxby and Jacobs were talking about this afternoon, their conversation went on the lines of Stephen Gerrard's got a good interior designer, and Brendan Rodgers' house looks like a spa. So that's what they got from being Liverpool.
Yeah,
you know that's what's marketing Liverpool.
The one that got
spa,
it looks like a spa.
Which kind of spa you mean?
A cheap supermarket.
7 to 11.
Yes. The one I've got that they found very odd was, I can't quite remember if this is the episode it's been in, but Brendan's got a very large portrait of himself in his hole.
Handsome.
What's the statement?
Shankly would have had that.
No. What the two things disturb me about it is like, and Shankly is it. I think Brendan Rodgers is trying too hard. He should relax. You know, I was really embarrassed by that. I didn't have a silver spoon. I had a silver shovel. One, the analogy doesn't work. Two, you know, it's just
say that?
Yes.
And the
other one, when you come outside, one of the great things about being manager at Liverpool, they give you a nice car. What Shankly has about him, and I met Shankly, I used to go up the grounds all the time when I was a kid. I lived for a while on Fountains Roads, which is just around the corner, and I'd go up, to pre-season, I'd be there every day. Shankly was totally unself-conscious. He didn't know he was being Shankly. He just was. So, he did his stuff, and it was like, he was just being what he was.
It's what you're saying, Brendan. We've had too many "you can die for the shirt" quotes already, can't you? It'll be my last breath to fight and die for this club.
You're a good young manager. Do your stuff.
And on that,
don't try
but
hard.
on that note, Tony, as well, it was touching for the first time, and they defended their manager because you're getting sacks in the morning from United, and the cop responded for the first time with "there's only one Brendan Rodgers," and I think, if anything, the young man needs to take from that is now, shut up. Yeah. They're on your side. Yeah, you're not Roy Hodgson. They're on your side. Yeah.
We all want him to be the most successful manager in the history of Liverpool Football Club. Right. Stop trying to be Shankly. Be yourself and just relax.
Yeah. You've got us. We're on board. Just use it.
Relax, don't do it.
What else have I got on here? Oh yes. What I worry about more than anything else is that is another unlucky game. Right?
Yes.
How many unlucky
How long
games?
Are they going to go on for?
Because this is now like the whole of Kenny's season was unlucky. Okay, we've played bar Arsenal and bar maybe the second half. We've played great in every game. We dominated every team in every game. We played brilliantly.
And we have 10 points.
And we've got 10 points. Now, I obviously, like everybody else, and I've got a list of centre forwards here. I'm hoping that we bring in an experienced half-decent left back and maybe another defensive holding player, but more importantly, somebody can put the ball in the net. Maybe two players can put the ball in the net. And then maybe if that happens, then maybe we'll stop being unlucky and we'll stop it. But there will come a point, won't there, where everybody just thinks, this isn't working, and it's not just us. I think it's the team, and everybody around Liverpool will go, actually, he talks the talk, and he's very good on that documentary for the Americans and that, but actually, this ain't working. It's not for me yet, because I think we're playing great football, and we have been really unlucky, and an injection of 2, maybe 3 real top-class players, I think we'll start winning games, and I think we're not that far from being way up there.
If you look in this time next year, will be the first time you'll be approaching Brendan's effectively 3rd transfer window, and it'll be this time next year. If we've not improved, I don't think he's been targeted. He's been loved to get in the top 4. I don't think he's been targeted any less than 6th place this season. No. I don't think a cup means anything to them. They're looking at the reason they want to progress in the Euro Disney. They don't think they're going to win it. No. It is a nice bit of money, and it's TV rights money as well. And that's the only thing. I think that if we're not improved, looking better than looking like a top 4 side this time next year, then he's going to be in trouble, because then the novelty effect and the love affair will start to wear off.
Yes. Well, should we talk about the first game? When we played Anzi. Hey, Macarena, didn't we? Played them. Now, I remember. I know there's other people who didn't watch last week's podcast or listen to last week's podcast. If I remember correctly, I remember saying something like, "I think we might play a half decent team," and then somebody at the end of the table, a little bit fat, said. No, you'll be surprised. We'll play all the children, we'll play the ball boys against Anzi Hey Macarena, and we'll get hammered. Oh, it's not a chance we'll play a decent team.
I didn't say we'll get hammered, I said we'd lose.
And then, was it you? I forgot.
Oh, you admit it was you.
Unfortunately, I do probably the only person, as I'm the only other person on the table. No, forget the weight reference. Ian, the obvious reference being, I'm the only other fucking idiot that was here last week. In the room, it sort of narrows it down a little bit.
Apart from Marcus Babbel, were you all? So you said we wouldn't play a decent team. We played a decent team.
I also said in the pre-match warm-up that I was completely shocked by Brendan's choice, and that it would prove after 60 minutes against Everton to be a brave or foolhardy team selection. I stand by the comment. It was an incredibly foolhardy team selection to play that team against Everton.
Well, we'll go on to that game in a bit. I think that was completely irrelevant. I really do. I don't think any of the Everton performance had anything to do with the Hey Macarena game.
Well, let's stay on the Hey Macarena game.
So the Hey Macarena game. Let's have a look at my notes here. Brad Jones played great.
I thought Brad Jones.
Speak? Well, maybe you two guys should speak at some stage. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we should talk about what happened. We won the game by 3 goals. There's been a terrible thing happen.
Hold on, and it was at home.
There's been a big mistake.
Let's think about that for a second.
That doesn't make any sense, does it?
I actually tweeted on the Sunday. I said, I didn't dream it. We won 3-0. It still happened.
It was Saturday.
It was lovely.
Saturday was it Saturday? 3 o'clock Saturday. It's like the old days. 3 o'clock Saturday. Turn up at Anfield, playing against an inferior team, and we play a team out, and it goes, and there we are.
And the full
house. I Harry Hill. Sorry. Oh, I know. She said it's Savile. It's Savile. Team, and they come. There you go.
And there was a full house as well, wasn't there? Because Everton lost.
Yeah.
And Manchester
Everton lost. Chelsea lost.
Manchester United lost. Tottenham lost.
It was great, you know.
Everybody around us that we needed to lose.
And in terms of relatives, what's all relative is the 3-0 drubbing we got at the Hawthorns isn't looking so embarrassing now because they've lost one game, won every other game.
But to be fair, we did completely dominate in that game.
Yeah.
So, you know.
We're better than everybody else, that's the answer.
We are the best team in the world.
Hasn't Canada got a theory? Hasn't Canada got a theory?
We'll come to that.
Oh, okay.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that game. I've got running order. So I thought it was going to be the same old in the first half because we dominated the game.
It was insipid for the first half. It was insipid.
It wasn't it? Actually, you know
what chances did we create?
Yeah, but
apart from that, we were good.
If we during that period where Uncle Roy was in charge, if you'd watched us play that sort of football, you'd go, "Wow, we're a different class now. This is a great team. We're playing lovely football now," and we did. We played lovely football. And we didn't play.
A real stretch of associating the words Uncle Roy. Forget lovely. Lovely comes out of the equation totally. Uncle Roy and football are the 2 words that are probably associated.
If he was manager and we played that game, that first 35 minutes, while he was manager, we'd go, oh, actually, you know what, we got it all wrong. We're playing lovely football now. But actually, we've done lovely football to death, haven't we? And you go, well, fucking hell, that's it, we're not going to score here. Do
you think then it was the kick into the cop end in the first half? So we thought it was the end of the game, so we thought we'd just fizzle out. And then come out the second half, go down the road end, and it's like, oh, it's the start of the game. We're away. We'll be a bit energetic in the second half.
In all honesty, it was a team that turned up for only the second time this season, and the first team to do it against us were Arsenal. And Arsenal sat back for 20 minutes and went, as I said earlier in the season, show us what you've got. And when they worked out we didn't have a lot, they took us to the cleaners. Whereas Wigan actually turned up and, in my opinion, went, we're all right here. They're never going to score. If we don't try and get too adventurous, we'll be all right with the point here. Thank you. And we spent 35 minutes in the first half going, well, come on, join in, have a go. And Wigan went, that's what you carry on.
Did either of you see the Suso substitution coming then in that based on that first half?
I didn't, because I thought it was actually played well. I didn't think it was that bad, Suso.
Suso was basically like a fantasy channel player on that day because there was no penetration involved at all.
Hello, that was a good joke. That was scripted. Was that scripted?
No, that was totally off. That was totally off the wrist or off the cuff.
Hey!
You prefer.
Oh, he got so excited he sort of
dropped the pack out the top.
But for me, he changed it and brought a Henderson on, and you thought, oh, that's interesting. He brought Henderson, not Shelvey, and then suddenly we're much more direct. Where Shelvey playing central midfield would look quite good. And then you think, oh, actually, that's what he used to be, didn't he? He was central midfield player. He go up and down. That's what he brought.
Linking midfield.
If you go back to the tactical reason for that, okay, so you could say there's two ways to look at it. Brendan's in-game management, as he's proven at Chelsea and he's proven at home against Wigan, is very good. Yeah. Or Brendan's pre-game management in his assessment of the opposition ain't all that.
I think that's unfair. I think you can think what you're going to do, and it doesn't work. You have to change.
I would agree, and I was slightly flippant because the Wigan that turned up to Tottenham turned up and had a go. Yeah. So he had no reason to expect the Wigan that turned up against us. But it was, to be fair, as if Martinez expected to get the ball more against Spurs, and quite rightly had assessed that he's not going to get the ball off.
I never thought that. It is a bit of a Mourinho trait, isn't it? The idea of a first half sub. That isn't. Most managers will wait till half time at the very least.
But what he did do, he's discussed this at length. And I did put this on the Facebook page as well because Nick Coughlin from America was asking the reason for Suso's substitution. Full chops to the man. He didn't need to wait. He knew that we were in total control of the game. He knew that he was risking nothing by doing it, and he's spoken many times about his 2 and his 1. Right? So he went out with 2 attacking midfielders and a defensive midfielder. Now the problem Brendan's got is his 2 and his 1. If he's got 3 players that actually work the system, is fantastic because it means that 2 people should be supporting or 1 person supporting, depending on whether it's a Category A team or a Category B team you're playing against. Now he expected Wigan to have a go, which meant start with a 2 more defensively, but he didn't because one of the people that is in the 2 and the 1 is the captain, and the captain decides pretty much against the opposition he's playing against what role he's going to play out of the 3. When he brought Hendo on, the clear instruction was, Steve, sit. You got no pressure, you got no one marking you, you haven't got to run around like a gibbon, leave Hendo to run around and press everybody, and just pass the ball around. And for the first time you saw Joe win the ball. Joe, give it to Stevie if there's nothing else on. Stevie, control the game. And he had, fortunately, thanks very much to Wigan for playing him in a completely unchallenged position. And then, not surprisingly, Gerrard pulls his best performance of the season out, I think.
Well, it was a funny old game in a way. I think we all got really excited about it, but essentially it is Wigan at home at Anfield. Wigan, are a new team. They've only just been invented.
It's the bare minimum to be.
Yeah, but we can't be there. We can't be sort of going into a game with worry and trepidation, and then when we do win, go. But it's like 1978. We should have pissed it.
But you've got to go. Well, that was brilliant. We have to temper it and go. Oh, wait a minute, there's green shoots here. What's happened? Like Suarez, up front is now suddenly finding his feet. He's going to destroy every other team, and then midfield's working really brilliantly defensively. But it looked great actually against Wigan. Second half. But to be fair, first half it was a bit all over the place.
No, you're right. But the reason it looks, and to be fair to Brendan, Henderson made the difference because Henderson ran around, and I'm not being disparaging because I actually thought.
Can you play that on a loop at some point?
All right.
Henderson made the difference.
Henderson ran around and did the work of 3 midfield people and allowed 3 people that can pass the ball to pass the ball.
Great, no, that's
so
good,
he took the dogging role, and in the nicest possible sense, not the other version.
He ruined it. He made the difference down his dogging.
He took the hunting and like a little dog chasing the ball around, and he did it really, really well. And the 2 examples that I'd like to point out of people that have perhaps not totally embraced the philosophy, but have sat down with the boss and obviously been told, this is what I want from you as a player, are Jordan Henderson and Jose Enrique.
Well, we're going to move on to Enrique because...
Where was Enrique playing then? Was he playing the Bale?
I would like to question now, what by the end of that, what we were playing. We were playing 3-5-2 or we were playing 4-4-2 because I was interested.
I thought we were playing 4-3-2-1 towards the end.
What that gives you though, if you play him wide, Enrique wide.
I mean, Enrique and Suarez are on a different telepathic plane now. It's like Gerrard and Torres. I mean, he looks.
Let's not get carried away. It is good. Though.
No, but he looks for him. You look at the what everybody, the long goal is a deliberate. You've all seen the footage. It's a deliberate look, and he almost, it's almost scripted. He tells him it's on. The runs against Wigan. He is talking.
Did you see Suarez in the goal celebration grabbing his ear?
Yeah.
Have you seen?
I mean, he talks to him and tells him, he looks for it. Now, it should be fairly obvious that's what Enrique's going to try and do, but it's how do you defend against Luis Suarez once you've put him in that position?
Well, it's a bizarre situation that now he's been put in that position and then that combination happened. And you've got to go, well, that's Otto Rodgers.
Yeah,
He's found that. He's found that, and that's brilliant. And I expect him to start, in the next game
until he buys someone else to go better in that place.
It's almost like, in a way, we've. If you look at the first 10-11 games of the season, we've benefited from, in a perverse way, we've benefited from the adversity of the shit August transfer window.
Yeah.
Rodgers has been forced to go back to the drawing board.
That's a really good point, actually. We've actually
football teams.
He's actually gone through the whole squad, including the youth squad, and gone. Let's try you. So no. Actually, we'll go with those young kids there, and then we'll go with you, senior professional, but in a completely different position.
If you think
we wouldn't have had that if he had the proper money to spend.
If you think of the mental makeup of Liverpool, compared, it's like a crass comparison, but if you look at where QPR are now, they've arguably got some talent that should have them out of the bottom 3, and yet they cannot get arrested. We could have fell into that same trap, which happened to Roy Hodgson, didn't it? Just like where obviously he just kept persisting, didn't he? Which is like you say, the fact that Rodgers has gone, hold on, just did it, and he's used that. You remember the embarrassing Northampton game where where it was like you didn't learn anything, or you learned that Roy Hodgson was a bad manager. Whereas you think of that like that away leg at West Brom, where suddenly we were a goal down, and then they themselves pulled that game back, and then you went, these players can actually play in the league games as well. So they're not just good in the cup; they actually did something that's good for Liverpool.
You've got other things that triumph for adversity probably is a great motto for Rodgers for this as well. Let's be honest. I watched a lot of Spurs this season so far. Right? Would you take the current form, the way they're going to play? Would you take the non-existent citizen of Dempsey?
Exactly. God, yeah.
We've got away with murder.
I think either of those players would probably be all right in our team because they would be the only option.
Well, I think Dempsey's playing like someone that looks like he should have quit football and really doesn't want to be there, and it's totally.
He looks like Henderson on the right wing.
You know what? There's an irony.
Yeah, there's
an irony in with Spurs. Is they've got too many players.
Yeah, but there's also the problem they've got, which Stephen had a little Facebook chat with Stephen Yamada last week. They do actually also have a complete and utter fucking cretin in charge of the team, and he is mental. A lot of people said to me, look at the weekend, I started so well. Arsenal are poor, and Spurs started so well. Bit of a problem when you go down to 10 men. But it was great till you went down to 10 men. Yet staring in your notebook for 15 minutes while you're actually playing with 10 men is not the best in-game management.
Yeah, they changed it at half time and they were all right.
No, they may change half time and let another 3 goals in.
Yeah, but there was still.
Like, he decided to. His whole philosophy of theme through there. Somewhere in here, there's a page about playing Arsenal with 10 men. No, there isn't. Actually, no, I've completely fucked this up. He's mental.
Asked about him. But anyway, Suarez has scored 10 of our 17 goals.
But of course, if you took him out of the league, we'd be bottom.
Yeah.
If you took Robin van Persie out of the Manchester United, they'd be second bottom. Where'd you stop with this, basically?
But you know,
Take Torres out of Chelsea.
I think you know, if Suarez was playing for Man United, they'd go, unbelievable! What a fantastic player! He scored 10 of United's 17 goals. That's brilliant.
Yeah, like our MVP last year for Arsenal. It was always amazing.
Yeah.
He's single-handedly did it, but no, this actually it's a crime.
I love it when they go, it makes Liverpool one-man team. Robin van Persie at Arsenal? Oh, no. They're very pretty. They're Liverpool pretty. No. That argument doesn't hold water, does it?
This is the difficulty that I think has faced Brendan Rodgers, is that there have been a couple of players this season that have played out of position and played well, and then he's almost felt obliged to play them the next week.
Suso.
There you go.
But
even the Enrique Downing situation, that when Enrique's gone to play left midfield, he's played the best he has played this season. Do you know what I mean? He's had a goal and 2 assists in 3 games or something like that.
Well, let's come back to Shithouse. Because he's thank God. Thank God he's been told he can leave today.
But I thought, the one thing that it was a bit like when Enrique wasn't playing too hot, is that he's always the outlet ball because Downing has natural width in the way he plays football. And so if you put on the left, he sticks to the touchline. But then, what brain cells in his head are telling him to cross a ball to nobody?
Wait, hey, hold. Before you go, I've been waiting since the final whistle blew on Saturday to hear Ian Coyle's opinion on Stuart Downing. You ready for this? Good,
right.
I know what's going on.
Stuart Downing, okay, when he was playing with Carroll, okay, the amount of games, I don't know how many games he played with Carroll, but he must have crossed the ball.
At least a dozen.
No, genuinely not even that. He must have crossed the ball to Carroll about 5 or 6 times for the whole period of time they played.
Do you want to know? Because I did this. No,
right.
It's 29 games together.
29 games together. And genuinely, I would watch it and I got obsessed with it. And the amount of times a lad with pace and who can cross a ball and you know, with skill who can beat a man, the amount of times he'd take the ball, run down a wing and then come inside. Down a wing, come inside. Oh, we'll swap him over to the other wing. Down a wing, come inside. Down. And you've got a kid there who can win the ball in the air against anybody. So, Carroll leaves. Okay, we all go, well, we're not sure whether they're going to fit in the system or not, you know, and actually, you know, he's not getting the service. Carroll leaves. Downing comes on the pitch. All he can do now is fucking cross the ball. He's just crossing the ball all the time.
Do you know how many crosses Downing made against Villa?
Go on.
18 crosses against Aston Villa. 18 crosses.
He did
no one.
And you just think, how does that happen? Because I know they've got lots of people who do all these, you know, they'll do a computer simulation or do all this kind of thing. Let's track him. You'd be sat at the back going, sorry. You were brought to cross to the big man in the middle there. You're not crossing the ball to the big man in the middle. Could you do some more of that? All right, yeah, okay, I can do that. And then now he's pumping the ball into the middle of the box, and there's no one there. There's just no one there.
The thing there again, you know, you look at the height of our strikers between Suarez and Sterling, and the average height is most probably 5'8" against defenders that are normally average.
You wouldn't happen to know what that is in centimetres and inches? Would you, roughly? Just because if you do happen to know, might come in useful in 24 hours' time, that information, but that's all I'm going to say.
Well, I don't know off the top of my head. But the point I'm making is with the strikers being that height, he actually should now be looking to come in and cut inside and play 1-2s in and around the box. Yeah. That's what he should be looking to do. Because the truth of the matter is, you're going to get a lot more out of Sterling that way, and there's no getting away from the fact that Suarez loves the ball in and around the box to feet, 1-2s around the corner. Happy days.
Suarez loves to create goals for himself, and without anybody else being there, he gets the most assists for himself because there's nobody else to do it with.
I have to say though, I thought the week off
and obviously not done Louis any favours because I thought he was frustrating and frustrated at the weekend.
Can I ask you a bit of a question? Because obviously we were all expecting to win because we were all kind of got.
Yes.
None of us believed bloody Brendan Rodgers we can finish second. Malarkey. That's a
Oh,
different.
no, I mean,
hold on,
no.
that's a different thing. But I mean, was Saturday a sort of bad day at the office or a genuine game you can judge?
I
Liverpool
don't
on
think
this
it's
season?
papering over cracks at all. I think it was. I honestly think that we thought they would win. Brendan thought they would win. And the team thought they would win.
Okay, so
Well,
complacency crept in.
again, I'm not completely sure. Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully it was an. I sort of asked exactly the same question. Was it an off day, or you know, is this the future? Is this what's going to happen? Is this not quite? Is it? Is he?
Like an advert to FSG. Can I have some
I'm
players?
going to throw this out there that I think in sports the difference at the highest end psychologically that the talk in the week of finishing second was very premature. Just because I think not because it's so early in the season, but I think we've only just come on a run. We've had 2 wins and we hadn't lost for 6 games. But when the manager starts saying stuff like that, the players start thinking, right, now we've turned the corner. Now at that level, 1 or 2%, 5% is a massive difference. Now, you know, I was in Istanbul and you're not meant to lose the Champions League final winning 3-0 at half time. But they already thought they had the game won. And that's why they lost the game. Because if they had said, we've got another 45 minutes and we're going to win this game 6-0 or we're going to try and score another 3 goals, they don't lose that final. They're touching the cup, they're singing, they're cheering, no one's most probably listening to the manager, they end up losing it. And I think, going back to 2008-2009 season, when Rafa came out and did the whole fact speech against Man United and we're flying high, again, I think it just came off the boil a little bit. And if you look at all of those instances...
rather than disappear under the radar,
stay quiet.
Brendan, which is a subject we're going to talk to Spoonie about later, Brendan did a whoa!
There we are.
And he's done that 3 or 4 times
it would
this season.
it would have been so much easier for him just to go, we're looking forward to the Christmas run and hopefully we'll come out of that with a higher league position than where we are now. And we'd have all bought that, wouldn't we?
We talked about this before we came in.
What are you doing
2 days ago, wasn't it? Whenever it was. I think we were saying he picked the wrong team. I think he should have played 3 at the back, basically.
Hello.
Agger, Carragher, Skirtle, Johnson, Enrique, and then, you know, Henderson, Lucas, Gerrard in the middle.
John Barnes.
Shelvey just behind Suarez.
Just really gone for the muscle.
Well, I think...
seriously, that is not a game to be having Raheem Sterling playing.
No,
you know,
definitely.
that sort of... It just wasn't right for him, you know. We should have had
Alan's
our dogs of war playing.
Alan at the start of the season would have been great in that game, but he's not on form at the moment.
No.
So I was incredibly
they're 2 little kids, aren't they, Alan and Sterling?
That's what I'm saying, yeah. They're too lightweight for that.
Yeah.
That particular... Benitez would have stifled that game to a boring, nasty, horrible 0-0
draw.
And
probably would have been 1-0.
And we're sitting here now, we'd have taken a Dower 0-0 draw. Too right.
Well, similarly, Julio's side would have done that, wouldn't they?
Yes, absolutely.
They would have had, you know, 2 blocks of 4.
But this is
Michael Owen.
Is this a blind spot then for Rodgers that he doesn't feel like he can certainly when we're winning he doesn't have teams that can shut games down.
I know.
We never get a good 1-0 or 2-0 win.
It's very worryingly starting. I can see tendencies of Arsene Wenger in him sometimes, which is a bit worrying.
Yeah, that's what
we're going to do this my way, and we're going to keep doing it, and we're going to do it how I want to do it.
I've said before, we've all said it, his in-game management and his reactive management is good, but sometimes he's so set in his ways post-games. It's exactly the point you made earlier about Lukaku, right? When Lukaku came on for West Brom, we all sat there and went, Carra's in trouble. Right? And also, we took off big players and brought on small players. In that game as well. You're sitting there going, this isn't really going to work. Should they get a free kick against? Oh my word, they've got a free kick and score. That's exactly the same.
But we were watching that game. It's like the Oldham game. You're watching that game, you think,
well, we're in trouble here. They're gonna, and he's sitting there watching it like me.
Funny
And you
enough,
think,
watching
well,
the
you've got
same
to change your system somehow, or do something about it.
But it's as Ian said, as Don said, it's that inflexibility. There is no plan B.
Yeah.
There's plan A, and there's a version on plan A,
Yeah.
and that's it.
And I wasn't thinking much of that. It's just the fact that he only knows how to do expressive football as a thing. He's like, doesn't matter, this is a different version.
Lock it up.
There's to be different version of it. Like the two you mentioned, the Julian and the Benitez would have just stifled the living daylights out of that game, and then any kind of set piece or maybe the 10 minutes you might have in the game over 90 minutes, you might get a goal.
Yeah.
But the important thing is they're not going to get near you.
Yeah, and then come back to Anfield and let everybody out there and express yourselves. You know,
I'm team no glasses though, obviously on this panel today.
You didn't get the email, did you?
No.
And your beard, I noticed, is very dark.
It's
very
painted
dark.
on.
If you paint it, are you dyeing your beard
Of course,
now?
I've always dyed my beard.
You dyeing your beard?
Yeah.
Jesus, it's like one of them.
It's like Enrique.
Yeah. Now.
Yeah. Are we talking about the testosterone in Enrique?
Well, let's not leave it all in the gym.
Okay.
Actually, we're
recording. We can do it.
What are we doing this? I don't want to shock you, and also upset to people who are listening on the wireless on the internet. Is that we can actually see you.
Yeah, I know,
now.
well.
And I can only apologise to any people who are watching the YouTube channel for this. It is a fucking motley crew. This is. Yeah, this is the new. We're living in the 21st century now. It's all good. And this green, those people out there are not seeing the green. They're not seeing the green. They're seeing, oh, I love it. It's beautiful.
Holodeck.
Holodeck.
Mothership. The mothership of
It's a
Passive
beautiful
Move.
thing. But unfortunately, to ruin all this loveliness, we have to. You are a fucking jinx.
I know.
Because I've not seen you for ages, and we're playing all very nicely and doing all that. And then, they clearly hear you're coming along, and then we are
a Hodgson team.
Hodgson team. A massive sack of shite. Honestly, they were terrible against Southampton. So, unfortunately, we have to discuss that. We could have been 4-0 down at half time. Do you not agree?
Yeah, definitely. It's not just me who's the jinx. So I think it's Rodgers as well. If you notice that every time he said like we're going to come top two.
Yeah.
No, he said we can. He didn't say we're going to come top. He
Yeah.
said we can come top
Yes.
two, and then you lose. And then this week he's crowing. He's saying, oh, top four's possibility, and then we lose. I think there's a lesson there. Keep it.
Shut up.
I was talking to a
sharp,
United fan on Wednesday, and he was saying that he said we're not Liverpool fans. He said, but Rodgers didn't invent passing for Liverpool. He keeps talking all season about this idea of passing.
I know.
Liverpool, even as United fans, they knew that was kind of in Liverpool's
That's
DNA.
kind of what we used to do.
It's what Liverpool's all about.
People, there's this idea that as I don't know, if you want to rein me back to the Southampton and save this for later, stop me. But there's this idea that as built up over the last few months that Rodgers has reinvented Liverpool. He's brought passing to Liverpool, this weird thing, like as if we were under Dalglish, this kind of long ball side.
That's
Well, long
almost a
ball side.
trailer for tomorrow's podcast.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I read a statistic a few weeks ago, which I genuinely could. I mean, this is true. I was in a reliable source. Couldn't believe it though. So across the whole of Europe last season, Liverpool had the second most possession of any team in Europe in the final third, i.e. in the opposition.
Right.
Barcelona were the first,
Right.
and Liverpool were next. So they were under Dalglish. They were playing, some decent football at times. They were pinning teams back. They couldn't ever score.
Mhm.
They were hitting the post
Perpetually.
never scored. Lots of issues. Not saying they weren't, but it's bizarre idea that Dalglish was this hoof-it side.
I think you'll find I was lobbying for the 3 points for the woodwork.
I think it's a good
to
idea.
come in.
Yeah.
I think we would have would have been. Champions
Well, think about it. Right, the goal is yay wide, right?
Massive.
And the post is only that
Tiny.
wide. It's harder to hit the
It's
post.
God, it
It
is.
should be. It's like
It's
like
so
hitting.
saying
hard.
4 points.
It should
You're
be.
saying 4 points on based on
well, not
Liverpool.
points. With goals, you get 2 goals.
2 goals.
Instead of 1 goal, you should get 2 goals. You hit the post, 2 goals.
If only
It's
somebody
2-0.
out there could do those maths for us and send them in.
You then could have had. You could have had. I know you used to like me doing the David Coleman.
Go on then.
Because instead of hitting the 1-0, it'd be Suarez. 2-0.
Oh, that's fantastic.
There you go.
Could have been beautiful.
That would have been beautiful.
But if you're Henderson, and you must be thinking, I'm off. He must. I mean, either that or he's been told.
I don't know. I mean, look, I don't want to be so negative about Brendan Rodgers because I think there are some good aspects of him, and he's the manager, and so be it. But it's just such a weird season. I haven't seen you obviously this season, so but it's such an odd season because he obviously came in Rodgers and just thought this side I've inherited is rubbish. Dalglish's players all useless. Get rid of them. And I'm playing all these young kids and playing, and then halfway through the season he's just gone. All the young players have kind of come out the side.
Yeah,
none of them are even there now. And now Downing.
In the next podcast.
And now Downing. Oh, sorry, we weren't talking about that now. But you got Downing, Henderson, Enrique. Enrique couldn't get a kick first half.
Enrique was like a brick though when he arrived. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying. It's just bizarre. It's just a bizarre change, complete change.
But is that because he's done something good with them, or is that because they were a good player? I mean, it's kind of.
No, I think it's because he was overplaying. I think he made a mistake. I think he overplayed.
He ran the kids into the floor.
Exactly. I was thinking at the start. I just couldn't believe how much he was playing Sterling.
No,
absolutely ridiculous. Sterling. He should be playing like one every 3 games.
He's now talking about loaning out Suso and Sterling.
Well, Suso didn't strike me as being quite good enough. The fans wanted him to be good enough, but he didn't strike me. He had like a few touches. He didn't really ever do anything that made you think.
It was that idea of sophistication, wasn't it? Where
we love the idea of it. Pacheco was a bit like that.
Yeah, because Pacheco
was a bit like that.
Dog with that
and Latalik and Pongol as well, probably to an extent as well. Was that?
Are they still with the club?
Love.
Are they still with the club? Well, we got rid of them yet. Because Danny Wilson's still there.
Cinema Pongol doesn't have a club.
No, isn't that weird though? Like last week or the week before, whatever, and we won 3 on the bounce. We're all going, "Way, yeah, we're brilliant! Oh, we're brilliant!" And then we lose one game, we're all gone.
Well, for our dear departed colleague, James wrote on the Facebook.
Has he died?
No, he's moved to Feltham.
Okay.
So he's moved to Feltham. Good luck to him as well, James. But he wrote. That's what I said. He's our official young offender. But James wrote on the Facebook page the disappointments. As he put it in stronger terms than that. But he said the disappointment, typical, the same Liverpool I've watched for the last 20 years. When it comes to a decent side, we can pay with a bit of power, pace and adrenaline, and then we turn up and the big time Charlie approach kicks in and we get rolled over.
He's absolutely right.
And he is absolutely right, because that is. But if Rodgers can't stop that, I actually think, going back to Ashley's bit about speaking out of turn to the press, that Brendan's probably responsible for part of that attitude as well. I think it was his team talk consisted of, "Oh, don't worry, lads, we'll roll this lot over, and then we've got Villa next, and then we'll be marching towards the Champions League."
We know his team talk consisted of, there are 3 people you can trust. You can trust your family, your wives, and all of that.
The ironic thing is as well is that
I can't trust my wife.
in terms of that fantasy 4th place thing, Spurs frigging lost.
Yeah.
So we'd have actually gained 6 points on Tottenham in the space of a week, which is the one that we thought that's miles away.
Yeah.
In terms of whatever ambition. 4th was like we talked last week, didn't we, about the idea that Arsenal and Chelsea would fall apart, which obviously our predictions were so accurate. In 7 days, we're like Liverpool are on a wave like a surfer.
I don't think
we just got carried away.
Be wise after the event, but Arsenal have never faded away like that, even when they've they've made the Champions League for the last 16 years. I mean, they haven't, even when they've gone out of every tournament, whatever. They're quite good at picking themselves up. And
he's a good manager, isn't he?
Well, absolutely, no, they're a good club. I mean, they have. I think it's wishful thinking to think that they're going to fall away. I mean, Chelsea, likewise, obviously, have just got too many.
It's always wishful thinking, Ashley. It's always that's all. In terms of our ambitions for 4th, it's about everybody else capitulating.
But history.
It's not all over. Jordan Henderson.
We're going to get in the fair play league.
Who let him speak? Who let the boy speak? We still have our ambitions are still to finish in 4th place.
No, but history.
He's not read the memo after the Southampton game, has he?
It's the last few years of disappointment catch up, and then the same thing with Spurs, because Spurs are living up to. It's the same thing. It's like the history weighs heavy there, and successive years of disappointment. You can see them start now. It wouldn't surprise me if they fall away, because it's the panic sets in.
Did you not think when Shankly was given the big I am? Did you not think, for Christ's sake, shut your mouth for Christ's sake?
He never spoke like Rodgers. No.
But
Eddie's not a fan of Brendan, by the way.
No.
You should be aware.
So I'm not a fan at all. I just don't get what he's trying to do at Liverpool. He's making. It doesn't seem to make any difference. We have a couple of good games and then it come on. He's done it again. The paper. I've said to our Stuart, I said he's doing it again. His article. We're playing Southampton. I thought it's like we just knew it's going to be fatal.
Yeah,
he's more spin. Knew it's fatal.
I think he's more spins than
more spin than substance.
Yeah, he's more. And he's all about.
I think it was our Stuart said. He said, "Why don't you just send his deputy? That he's on. Just to speak now and again. He doesn't have to be spieling all the time, but he's on all the time."
Yeah, I mean, I look.
And he uses that word again, doesn't he? Transition, and we will have hiccups.
Well, if we'd have won the Southampton game, that would have been 4 on the bounce. Would you have spoke differently then?
No, look, I'm not saying he's all bad by any means. I'm certainly not suggesting sacking him or anything. I think that's what annoys me with sometimes with like when you post online where people say, "Oh, what's the answer?" Second, no, you are allowed to have an intelligent discussion about a manager without saying. I'm not saying sacking him.
He doesn't say anything different. Does he ever say anything different on the TV?
No, I agree. No, my issue is this: is that you can sometimes afford to take a punt on a manager or take a punt on a player, but where Liverpool are at the moment.
Well, he's got next season.
That's not what we need.
He's got next season. My opinion. If we don't finish in the top 4 next season, he's gone.
He just doesn't. To me, he doesn't have the experience for what we needed at the moment.
He's not much older. Well, he's the same age as.
No, some of the young players.
He's younger than all of us.
Well, the same age as
he's the same age as me.
He's younger than him and all.
No, I think he's quite an inexperienced guy, running a club full of young players. Certainly in the first half of the season, as we were saying in the last podcast. With owners who haven't got a clue because they're new to football. With no chief executive, there's no who's in charge. There's no one who's really.
It's a big ship without much of a rudder.
No, exactly, absolutely. So he's not. To me, he's not. And what's really bizarre is that, obviously, we've taken him from Swansea, and Swansea have kicked on with Laudrup. And I look at that and thinking, why did we not interview Laudrup? That's strange to me. He wasn't on our. No, but all they interviewed.
I don't think Laudrup was ever on the radar.
All they interviewed were this guy.
We're after the Wigan man. We really going to the depths, mate. We really looking.
Well, Martinez is a man who only manages for 3 months a season.
What was the highest Swansea finished? What was the highest they finished?
They finished above us last season.
Was it?
It's only in the springs that Wigan start playing, so it's bizarre. I mean,
lovely loafers though, Martinez. Lovely shoes.
He does cut a shoe with no socks.
Lovely shoes.
I think they wanted a manager who had a bit of popularity. Look, last season was a disaster, and
I can still sort of see where Brendan's trying to go. I just get frustrated that he seems to be diverting his sat nav onto by stupid decisions. I mean,
he's learning in the job. That's what it is.
But I don't think we would have seen
because
improvement.
He was too vocal a while ago, and when he really torn into players in the paper, which I thought was when we got beat by Oldham.
Yeah.
And I know why we got beat by Oldham. The same as we got beat by Southampton. It was raining and it was windy and the pitch is heavy. And we just don't play for some reason. I think against even Aston Villa at home, it wasn't a particularly nice day. It's like if it's
never
a bad
nice
day
when you lose at home.
No, but it was another bad day. Windy, rain, and for some reason the ball we cannot control the ball. We can't even adapt. Look against Southampton, we couldn't adapt. They're spinning about. They're not the greatest football team in that division, yet they look like they were.
I think there's a lot to be said for the guy, the accusation or levelling at him that the guy's learning on the job, which I do find difficult to swallow. I'm not that impressed. Not that I know that much.
That is not fit me gas fired, isn't it?
But I'm not that much impressed with the level of the backroom staff. There seem to be, from perception, there seems to be an awful lot of yes men in that backroom staff, and again, very little experience at the level that you'd expect for Liverpool football club.
We need Laurie McMenemy and Phil Neal.
Who?
Yes, Gaffer.
We need who?
No, when you were saying yes men.
You mean Phil Neal.
Yeah, Phil Neal and Laurie McMenemy.
Yes, Gaffer.
I'll tell you something weird about Brendan Rodgers that makes me a bit suspicious. Right? His son's up for the. He's on this court case, right? He's called Anton Rodgers.
Is he really?
That's the thing.
So do you
you
realise if he
look like
goes
Anton
away, it'll be
Rodgers?
from May to December?
Absolutely,
Come on, let's have a party.
You look like Anton Rodgers. You have to bring it back to someone who you look like. You look like Anton Rodgers.
I look
May to
nothing.
December.
I look more like
he
Anton
looks like
Rodgers
Anton
than he
Rodgers.
does.
Do you think that might be affecting him as well? Man?
No, I
Is
think
that
that-
his sons could be going to
Well, his
prison.
son looks like Anton Rodgers. That's when we put.
what's
But
strange
he
thing
could be
is-
going to prison. I mean,
So-
that might affect him.
Yeah, well, no, it just
Well,
thought it
must
was
have been,
strange
must
that
be,
he
okay.
was obviously like a
Well, did it
big
affect your
fan.
lad when you
Anton
affect you when you
Rodgers.
Fresh Field.
Yeah.
But the sense of university, yeah.
So I must name my son after.
After May to December.
Yeah, well, he must have made it probably on, wasn't it? Yeah.
I know. But also Buck Rodgers would have been on that time. I'd have chosen
And
him.
I'd have chosen Buck every time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Over Fresh Fields.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm amazed.
Good show,
I'm
man.
amazed we haven't nicknamed him Buck Rodgers by now. Actually,
What?
Fucked
Instead of
Rodgers, that's
Brenda. Instead of Brenda.
B-Rod.
We're in danger of becoming Arsenal. Again, you know that
I
if
fucking
we have
wish
all
we
these,
were
we have
Arsenal,
all
to be
these
honest
people,
with you.
we have all these players in the team who can play football.
Yeah.
But it's found out it can be stopped, and so far what I haven't seen from Rodgers is a bit of a plan B. I can't recall, and I'm happy to be correct, as where you say he's made a substitution and made a tactical change that's gone. Well, that really turned the game.
Changed it completely.
On that sort of
No.
plan B
His
point-
in-game.
His in-game
I
management's
don't think his
good,
in-game's
but
been good.
On the plan B thing, his whole thing is he'll make like little tactical adjustments, but he'll never ever resort to your classic sort of English target man play. That's if he'd have
And that's
wanted
the-
to do
that's
that,
the
he'd
reason
have kept
Carroll-
Carroll. He
Carroll
was so
has been
insistent on
offloaded.
getting rid of Suarez. His whole idea is, my way, this death by 1,000 passes. If we knack out the opposition, that will always work every time, and he's not willing to shift from that.
Yeah,
He's
but
completely,
when-
that's his whole tactical idea.
When Arsenal was successful, they had Henry. We've been successful because we've got Suarez.
Yeah.
We need to find goals from other parts of the pitch, and also little bits of flair and little bits of brilliance and little bits of individuality, and I think that's what I see a lot in Coutinho.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, when he made that substitution, and I saw Coutinho walk into the line,
Yeah.
it was one of those times when you start thinking, you can't help it. What goes through the mind is, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
What? Surely you must be looking at Downing and Henderson and thinking, what the? Are you not watching the same fucking game as everybody
Yeah,
else?
absolutely.
Yeah, surely it was
You know-
Henderson off.
But I think, like you said, I think Henderson was compromised.
I would have,
Or even
I
Downing,
wouldn't have
whatever,
had Downing on the pitch in the first
No,
place.
I know
to be honest,
that.
But but then again, I'm not his greatest fan.
But I think that's the worry from if when Sturridge is fit and Rodgers is putting Sturridge on the bench at probably the
He
expense
won't-
of Downing as part of that front three, then Sturridge must be going. All right, I was at a club that might be in the Champions League regularly enough. And then I thought, well, I want first team football in the Premier League, so I'll go to Liverpool and I'll try and be
To
part
be
of their
fair,
growth. And then I'm on the bench and Downing's playing, and I think that must be a bit of a win.
He wasn't fit though. The last couple of times he's come on, he's not looked that great, and because he looked slightly off the pace. When he came on in this game, he looked off the pace because he was faster than everybody else. He looked like
But then we can't-
he's a
Well,
fired-up player.
I'll give you my other complaint, because we are doing very well at just talking about the game. We
Yeah.
stayed away from it again. A plan B. Again, no plan B whatsoever.
Andy Carroll's plan B.
Absolutely no plan B whatsoever. No
But
change to it.
but you know
We
what?
change a little bit of the personnel, and nothing
You know what, man?
changed at all.
The thing is, he has a set way of playing. Okay, you can move people out of position and fatten the midfield up and have one up, but essentially he's going to play that passing style no matter what.
Yeah.
And that is essentially one of the flaws of the way we play.
I
Is
tweeted-
that actually we're not as good as Barcelona at keeping hold of the ball, but that's what he wants to try and play.
Well, I tweeted yesterday.
He wants to play this style at the expense
we ain't
of
pragmatism.
everything else. Yeah.
We ain't got another option on the bench.
Well, I tweeted yesterday with tiki taka in the piss now, because this is getting us. No, I was.
Yeah, if you follow my mum's cola on Twitter, it was this Tiki Taki's boss, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
I was
just sitting there looking at yesterday with our ball retention was awful.
Yeah.
The passing from it's April. They should be well into this by now. There was a couple of times we made about 35 yards out. We kept the ball. We danced around. We kept the possession quite nicely. But this was Dalglish football. It never got any further than that. It broke down every single time it went
what
forward.
we're seeing though in the last 3 or 4 games?
a mental fragility that just hasn't eroded basically since Rodgers took charge of the team. We've had a mental fragility, full stop. We have
but didn't you say, Stuart, the club now employs we've got a psychologist?
Oh yeah, I know, but I don't know what he's doing.
Well, he's psychologizing people.
Well, he's mentally fragile.
In his risk survey, he must have gone, that's Suarez's foul.
You know who he needs to get in touch with? Marcus Babbel. He needs to get rid of him.
Of course. What we want is Luis Suarez to lay down and be treated by the healing stones.
That's what he needs, doesn't he?
I know Andy's never going to feature in our plans going forward or in Brendan's plans going forward. It's a massive thing for me. I know we talk about plan B on it often. I bought into totally, and I'd still like to see it happen. This famous Zarif mentions it, our lovely Zarif Russell mentions it a lot. His Brendan's famous death by football bit, it doesn't fucking work.
No.
It just doesn't work. We don't tire the opposition out. Yeah, absolutely.
So we've got a whole lot of things we want to discuss. First of all, Brendan Rodgers' style over substance. What is his philosophy? What is the said philosophy? And are you getting sick of him going banging on about bloody philosophy?
Well, I'd kick off with that because I think Brendan's speaks a lot about philosophy. I heard this mentioned on a well-known British talk sport radio station earlier in the week, and I quite like the subject. But the reason is Liverpool Football Club's always had a philosophy. You said it earlier, Don. Liverpool Football Club is a philosophy of winning, playing attractive football. It's what West Ham fans would dream of having. Sorry, Captain. But that's Liverpool's philosophy. Brendan's come in and he talks about the philosophy of this pass and move, tiki-taka, whatever you want to call it, possession-related, modern-style football. But a lot of people have said what's really Brendan? Because that's a reflection of his time spent with Mourinho and all the other coaches he's worked with in Europe. Is it really his philosophy?
Well, Mourinho doesn't play like that.
No, I think Mourinho is more like Benitez.
What they're saying, is he a mishmash of the people, or is there actually a man of substance?
So you're saying it like at the moment, because what is he just turned 40?
He's sound bites of other people rather than himself.
He's like he's not found his voice yet.
Yeah.
He knows what works because he's worked with successful people. Is what we've seen, and he's.
But if a manager comes into Liverpool Football Club, who've traditionally had the philosophy of pass and move. Where we had that before. But if he comes into a club that's had that, and he says, well, it's been tremendously successful for decades up until the collapse, and that's what we're going to do. And so everyone said, yeah, that's terrific. And we've seen this over the last season where there's been pass and move. But the problem is there hasn't been any penetration because he hasn't had the
story of your life, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was going to say it's about kidnapping your neighbour's sister. It's possession with penetration. That's what you want. So I'm only joking.
Did you know someone
was that in the script? Was that in the script?
Someone stole Ian's car the other day, and he said, "I won't report it to the police. I'll let that bastard explain the dead bodies in the bed."
Come on, everybody, let's have a party.
I've been associated with a horror writer for far too long here.
No, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. No,
my point on that is, have we yet to see Brendan's full style develop? Because there have been the allegations that there's Brentism, David Brentism about him. He does make some of the most ludicrous po-faced statements at exactly the wrong time. Ian, we're going to finish second earlier in the season, followed by Aston Villa. It's the perfect away performance, 2-0 away to Zenit.
The thing is, the thing is, he's quite a young manager and he's inexperienced. That's like we were talking about when we went out to Oldham. If you. Actually, in reality, that's his longest cup run as a manager. That's the reality. We brought in a bloke who may well turn out to be a fantastic manager, but he's still very inexperienced.
And as a manager, is this his first foray into Europe as well? Is that?
And also, you get a lot of traditional Liverpool fans. You've got people like Alison on our own page who's extremely vocal about the point of why our Liverpool Football Club, and this is a lot of fans' point of view. Why Liverpool Football Club letting someone trial and learn their trade at Liverpool Football Club. This is not a club historically where you would come to learn your trade as a manager. I love the way Brendan's teams play. I think he's made a lot of mistakes, but a lot of managers made mistakes. Hodgson was a very experienced manager who was a catalogue of mistakes, one after the other. Kenny made mistakes. But the point you've got with Brendan is you look at all of the plus points, the pretty flowing football, the watching it, the vista and beautiful tiki-taka that they do play, and we've got the worst points haul in 20 years.
Yeah, but learn your trade. Sorry, I just want to go back. Learn your trade. Why are we Look, if you're going to go down that route, Kenny Dalglish, first time round. Bob Paisley. Roy Evans.
Well, Bob Paisley came up under Shane.
Yeah, but he still learned his trade as a manager.
He hadn't managed
So that's that.
Yeah,
with all due respect, Alison. Is it Alison that said it? You're talking shite.
Yeah, but also, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
It's not my page. It's not my page.
The other thing, that we all talk about, we always played this style and that. Houllier didn't play that style. Houllier played a counter-attacking long ball, and I don't remember us moaning about that when we won all those trophies.
No, I agree.
And Dalglish was brought up under a pass and move. That great Dalglish teams that he played in and the teams that he managed all played pass and move football. It's I don't. It's not like it's this great new thing we've all discovered.
No, it's just that everybody's in the shadow of Barcelona. Refined into a modern art, effectively.
But also that brings me back to my point. It's about the personnel in your squad, in your team, as much as anything.
It's no use being able to play lovely, pretty football when you take on a team like Oldham, who are going to basically kick you up in the air and hoof the ball up and beat you in every 50-50 challenge. Because you've got to be able to mix it. You've got to be able to put a Yaya Toure or a Graham Souness in the centre of the park who can pass but can also tackle.
Is this maybe what we're talking about? Given that we keep using the word philosophy, is this maybe the first time we've really got what you would describe as a sort of academic person in China? Like his whole philosophy is based on theory, whereas obviously Rafa had a philosophy, but it was based on having beaten Real Madrid and Barcelona to the La Liga.
By any means possible.
And kind of there's what is lacking, because what we like is obviously beating teams 5-0, and we've scored more goals this season, haven't we? Already, despite the goals, despite the points tally, we've actually scored more goals than last season already. So clearly going that way, we're fine.
Yeah. They've moved the posts a little.
No, we basically win 5-0 or don't. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that seems to be the way 3-0 or don't kind of thing. But he doesn't have a pragmatic bone in his body yet, and that's maybe what experience gives you.
So therefore this is a great way to expand it then. Are we then saying therefore that his backroom team is lacking?
Yeah.
He doesn't. He is becoming, you said a great analogy earlier on.
I must have missed that.
When you said that there's a lot of Arsene Wenger about him, because Arsene Wenger will not listen to anybody else around him.
Right.
And I'm beginning to wonder if Brendan surrounds himself with similar people.
Arsene Wenger's team went a whole season unbeaten.
Yeah, but not in his first season.
No, but Arsene, people are having a go at
8 years ago.
Yeah, well, fine, whatever. He's done incredible things at Arsenal. People's who raised the expectation of Arsenal? Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, okay. Now it's time to move on for Arsenal Football Club, and Arsene Wenger is, in my opinion, probably one of the two greatest modern managers. Yeah. Right? The other one shall not be named, of course, like the Scottish play. But Brendan's
Keith Curl.
Damn. Brendan's backroom team, there doesn't seem to be, as you said, enough pragmatism about it. You look at the fact that you reflecting back on Arsene Wenger's brought Steve Baldwin. Everybody went, he's brought Steve Baldwin. He's no more Pat Rice to sit there and say yes. Steve Baldwin made no difference whatsoever to Arsenal's defensive strategy because Wenger doesn't listen to it.
But what
I just don't see enough. I do not see. We've summed it all up. There have been games. You said it earlier on, Stu. We don't lock out a game. We've got no idea how to lock out a game of football.
And you would think at this stage in the season, that would be the bit he'd be focused on, because I think it's safe to say that when we're in full flow, we're doing a lot right.
As good as anybody.
We're doing as good as anybody. We've proved, the various games against teams that we morally beat, was where we showed that we can do it. But actually, when push comes to shove, that's where we come unstuck, don't we?
Is this where this week where B-Rod talked about us having to buy some men And is he acknowledging it within that, the fact that...
Is that a PR battle with the club then, do you think?
Well, no, I think...
I agree with you, Stuart. I think it is. I think it's I need money and I need to break the policy. You're looking at... Xabi Alonso's making noises that he'd like to finish his career at Liverpool.
I think that's a mistake.
I agree, but Xabi Alonso's made... Look at the type of player. Forget the fact that it's Xabi Alonso. Forget the fact it's the returning whatever. He's 29 years old. He just does not fit FSG's transfer policy.
No.
Right now, I agree with Stuart. I think that's Brendan's way of saying I need to bring experience into this side. I need to sign people
that's
outside
right.
of
I
the
agree with that.
transfer.
We should have that. You know,
Ferguson bought Van Persie, didn't he? There's no sell-on value with Van Persie. It's like you've paid the most he's ever going to cost, and look what he's done.
It gets you the results, and that's what we need.
Well, let's have a look. We lost the league on goal difference. I'll tell you what. Let's go and buy the guy who scored 29 goals. And I also said it's 24 million. Okay, fine.
That'll do. Because we're going to gain 50
and
million.
They're the kind of buys that we're going to need to. Because clearly, the little bits of it that are coming together, we're playing good football, but there's that mental bit of the
mental bit is exactly
the bit he's missing.
But what I can't square is you said B-Rod said we need to buy some men. So that's fair enough. I understand that, and I think that's right. But yet he still, what I can't square is he still persists in playing the kids in vital matches. Zenit. So
exposing him as well.
And he has the personnel, not long term, if you like, but he had the personnel there and then not to have to play those kids. So I can't quite understand. And surely if he's half the manager we hope he is, that at the end of the season he'll look back on those 3 or 4 turning points, hopefully. Surely he knows his job better than we know his job. Why is he not going to look at that and understand where he's gone wrong?
In a previous podcast, we talked about obviously the impact that Sturridge has had. Arguably, that shows that basically up until December,
we're wasting our time.
Brendan Rodgers. That decision at the August transfer window was one of the worst. The manager, the club, whoever was to blame for it, it was the worst thing that ever happened to Liverpool in recent history. Forget Hodgson. The fact that we didn't actually let a forward go and we didn't have anybody to cover. And we forced Suarez through a season where thankfully he scored a lot of goals. But actually, the team didn't blossom.
We'd be sitting in 3rd or 4th position.
We were going out like we had a squad basically like a team that's just cut for the championship. Like you've got your best 11, but there's fuck all else.
But also that brings us. Funny if I'll say that actually leads us to the second point I made there as well, because you're looking at on the agenda. Did you know that in 2.5 years we've spent £184 million on 28 players?
And that's what I was going to get to. I think
that's just Joe Cole's wages, though, isn't it?
I think FSG have looked at that, probably looked at that stat and gone, "What the fuck were you doing?" And you've got us involved with that, didn't you? With the stupid Carroll and Torres debacle. But I think since Rodgers has took the job, they've done their kind of corporate restructuring of Liverpool. And you could say that's a success, but it's meant we're struggling to get sixth.
The fact of having a younger manager means that a board can dictate to the younger manager. You are the representative of the board in charge of the football pitch. That's a very American coaching structure.
I think that's what...
You are the representative of the... Whereas Kenny would have gone, I'm bigger than this.
I want what I want,
effectively. Rodgers isn't going to do that. Rodgers has to toe the party line. He's a younger and experienced manager.
But wouldn't you say what we were talking about earlier is that I think that's the sound of Brendan Rodgers going, oh, hold on a minute. I know what I signed up for, but actually, he could probably see that he could get this team in the top 4, but he knows what he has to do, and it isn't part of their bigger plan.
He will have Suarez and Gerrard on the door going, what? Come
on. He might not have Suarez in the summer, mate.
No, I meant at the time, at this particular moment. It will be Suarez and Gerrard going, we're not taxis here, we're not carrying 10 of them around with us,
So... let's look about on the pitch, and let's talk about Rodgers, and let's talk about, if next year is like this year, when does the clock stop ticking? Will it,
will they start
Well,
getting itchy
I'll go
feet?
briefly and I'll start it off and everybody can go. For me, he's got one summer transfer window to prove himself as a. You're now looking at.
Yeah, but where'd you go though if you get rid of him? Where'd you go?
No, I'm not
There's
saying get
nowhere
rid
to
of
go.
him. I'm just
Yeah.
saying for me, he's yet to have a proper summer because we made a hash of the
Yeah.
last summer transfer window
Yeah.
completely.
He
right?
made a hash.
Yeah, he made a hash. He's responsible.
Sorry,
I don't
excuse
care.
me. Was that Rodgers or was that?
It was Rodgers.
It was Rodgers.
It was Rodgers, without a doubt.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that was him with a royal screw up.
Yes.
It was the we can get.
Was that because I'm suddenly with a big club and I don't know how to handle it?
No, no. He tried to pull stunt Mourinho or Rafa pull, and it fell apart. And then he made the mistake of pointing the finger at the owners.
Okay.
So for me, I'd like to see what he does with this transfer window. But as for what happens next, over to you two guys.
How long do you give him? I mean, it's because it really becomes the snake eating its own tail. How long can Liverpool not afford to have success on the field? And you can go out and buy instantaneous success. FSG have said that they're not going to buy success, not after the Suarez or Carl Downing and Henderson fiascos. So they're not buying success. So therefore they have to be in for the long haul. And I think, to be honest with you, you've got to give a manager 3 seasons, I would have thought. So there's this season, there's next season, and then there's the season after that. And if, and that may sound painful to Liverpool fans, but I would
That's the reality.
I would expect Liverpool to be competing on the cup front next season. They're obviously not going to be in Europe.
Challenging for the top 4?
Nudging the top 4. They may make it. They may, if the teams, if the quality isn't good. And the following season, they have to be Champions League. As to when they'll actually win the whole thing, well,
I think certainly he deserves another whole season after this one. I think then, he's on a 3-year contract. Then you reassess and you see if you're going in the right direction. He's their man, and they swept away a lot of the club's tradition to bring him in. They severed the link with the second most important man in Liverpool's history, which they need to get somehow back into the club, one way or another. And they severed that link after he'd won a trophy. So they created this new way going forward. I'm not overly thrilled by it, but you know what? That's not Rodgers' fault. The fact that they weren't qualified to choose a manager for Liverpool Football Club is not Rodgers' fault, and we can't let him carry the camp for that.
Well, so what's the saying, Tony? You can only play the team put up in front of you.
Yeah. So
and also, it's the same as when you pick on I pick on Jordan Henderson. Jordan Henderson didn't set his price tag.
Yeah.
But what we talked about when we got knocked out of the FA Cup, and I know how sort of embarrassing that was, and blah blah blah. But and then the stat was that's his longest as a manager. That's his longest run in the cup, and he's just like, oh right, okay, that's the context of what we're dealing with here as a manager now.
I mean, he clearly come to Liverpool too early in his career, and it might be a really damaging move for him. Let's all hope not. Let's hope he grows into it. We've all said he's learned on the job. We can see him learn on the job, and those lessons are painful. But you know what? He deserves the chance. I personally don't believe he will be successful, but he deserves the chance to prove me wrong, and I'm not going to be overly critical of him because he's got to grow. He's got to learn.
Okay, let's give him next season. Okay, we'll give him the season after, as you say, Connor, and it's still going. So what happens then? What do you do then? I mean, we're literally back to year 0.
Okay, well you've got to say that. Okay, let's just take that in context here, right? Yeah, I can see what you mean, but you're probably saying goodbye to Stephen at that point.
Oh, good.
He's probably gone.
He's probably gone.
Suarez is gone as well.
Okay, but you are looking at if you've managed to get, if you're nudging the top 5 or you're nudging the top 6, then you've kept the rest of that squad together. And your Coutinho's, your Sterling's, these guys are all Shelby's, your Hendersons. If you've kept it, I don't think Jordan will be there this summer, to be completely honest. Are all 2-3 years more experienced. They're all 2-3 years older. They're all a cohesive unit. Now, you take that back to the Fowler McManaman era team. That's what we hoped for. And by changing management structure, as we did so often during that team, we didn't keep it together. So that's one of the many things Liverpool have done wrong with the players they've brought through. It'll come down to, as you've said before, Tony, financial constraints and what's expected out of the team. Also, we do not know what FSG have set him as a target.
Well,
look how shocked we all were when as you said, when they did what they did to Kenny.
I don't think they've set him any targets. No. I think it's just.
I think it's not so much making up as you go along. See how he does.
Yeah.
I think the thing that annoys me about Rodgers, and I disagree with you, Tony. I think he might make it. But what annoys me is that he needs somebody who speaks PR speak. You don't come along to Liverpool fans after you've lost 2-0 away.
Would you like to sign our petition to employ John Barnes as the PR man for the club?
You lose 2-0 away. Okay, Liverpool they battered them and should have won, but they didn't. They lost 2-0. You can't argue with the scoreboard. This is the best away performance. That's driving me nuts.
If I was doing the PR at Liverpool, the first thing I would do is I'd go into Brendan Rodgers and I'd say, shut the fuck up. Yeah. Right? I don't want to hear any of this. I don't want to hear how great we are when we lose. Yeah. You know what? Because it drives... And you know what? It's one of those things. All through this season, we've been told how well we're doing pass completion when you're losing and all that. You know what? I'm not just off the boat. The potato famine wasn't yesterday. Yeah. I've seen this. I'm 52 years old. I've seen this club. Don't try and sell me something that I can see is not right.
No, right. Exactly.
And you know what? If he would make... I would buy into him a lot more if he was honest and didn't try and blag me.
Do you know what? The one thing I don't want to see him turn into is Owen Coyle, and he treads a very fine line between being Arsene Wenger and Owen Coyle for me at times, and both of those are aspects of people.
O'Leary, do you remember O'Leary?
Yeah, they're both those are aspects of people I don't want to see.
It's a very young side.
What I was just saying to you offline there was that it was cringeworthy in the Huffington Post. Yeah. Who said it? David Brent from The Office or Brendan Rodgers? Yeah. And there were some of those you'd have to say, and it shouldn't be.
You're absolutely right. I mean, his ego runs rampant at times, doesn't it? At times,
I wonder whether it is ego, or I wonder whether it's like defensiveness. I wonder whether it's a bit of insecurity.
I think it's insecurity. Because I don't think it's ego.
You've said that in the past. You think he's so easily influenced by the media.
I think he is completely. And you know what? I think he sits there and watches footage of Shankly. He watches footage of Dalglish, and he'll go, right, this is how I should conduct myself. Rather than being his own man, he'll go, right, this is how I should conduct myself. This is how I should, and he's so. That's more than anything else. That's why he needs a PR man.
That's why I said to you last week. He's just 40 years old, right? And I said to you last week, he's an amalgam of all the people he's worked with and the people he's influenced by. I don't think you've yet seen Brendan Rodgers. I think we see a bit of the guy that worked with Jose Mourinho, a bit of the person that's read a book by Shankly,
I think what we need to see him develop a distinct character of his own. Yeah. And not one that appears to be a David Brent parody.
Yeah. And the other thing I will say too is that we all around this table watch being Liverpool. Is there anybody here who thought at any moment that Rodgers wasn't playing to the camera? He was playing to the camera.
Of course he was.
Every single shot. Now, if that's been Dalglish, difficult to say because we're in hyperbole or in hypotheticals now. But Rodgers knew the camera was on him the whole time, and it was like he was auditioning for his Oscar.
But
whereas
FSG
I think
would have told him to be aware of the camera. FSG would have told him to play.
Whereas
Kenny would have gone fuck off.
You don't have to play it to it, Ian. That's my point.
But Kenny would have told him to fuck off, wouldn't he?
I was waiting for him to start doing this.
No, the worst one for me was the home. Yeah, forget the portrait. I can live with the portrait. Yeah. But the actual performance of this is my daughter and she's going out with my assistant manager. I don't care. I don't want to know. That's not what
We've all got portraits of ourselves up in the house.
Actually, Tony, I've got one of you.
I'm naked on mine.
Right, let's round this up then, gentlemen. Thank you very much for essentially we're all saying the same thing. We're all. We're all.
So why did you Tony me for all the same thing?
Well, we are though. I mean, we are essentially saying we're backing, we're behind it, we're open for the best. But it's none of us are completely convinced by any of it. As I keep saying, 2 games away from disaster, 2 games away from positivity, the whole time. But thank you very much for turning up in the virtual world, gentlemen, and let's have you back again soon.
It's disturbing that we've wore the same clothes for 3 nights in a row.
Well, I've been there many times.
And sat in the same places.
I mean, luckily they can't smell us. Thank God the virtual world has not progressed that far yet.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Cheers.
And let's just hope we have a cracking end to the season.
Can I just say something? Alison, I didn't really meant you talking shit.
Honest to God. You're in trouble. You are in serious trouble. All right, let's have a party. Thank you very much, everybody, and good night.
Thank you.
Little Ripple, come on, Little Ripple.
Yeah, have a party.
Well done, everybody.
So thank you very much, gentlemen. And
we'll see you in part 3.
We will see you in part 3. It's not a different part, it's a separate thing.
So we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes.
Sorry.
Anyway, Don, it's been a joy. Can we have another Don back now, please, if you don't mind? Thank you very much.
We're going to bring the Don back in part 3.
Oh, part 3. That's the end of this part. Yeah, thank you very much, Don, for us. Thank you very much.
And we'll see Nasher again after all these.
Yeah, lovely. Hats off to you. Brilliant.
Lovely tea.